with the Big Talk Radio. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to another show. You're now listening to season 9 of the Big Talk You. I'm your host, it's our showtime, and we are back. Once again, I appreciate all the people out there that's tuning in via phone, via Skype. As usual, we have a lot of listeners out there. Calling for Skype, we've got about the international listeners out there. We have some people listening in the States, of course. And it's going to be a good show, guys. Today's show is entitled The Big Talk You Says Farewell to the First Lady, Amona Israel. Let me bring her in real quick. Thank you. Hello to the family.
Our praises be to the Most High, the Holy One of Creation. Shalom, everyone. And I'm looking forward to this discussion, as always.
Shalom, of course. Welcome. She's gonna be here to say her piece and let people know what's going on. Things are happening, and of course, she asked me to bring on a platform so she can express to the people what's happening. But you have a lot of people on the phone line. And welcome. Feel free to press number 1. I see you got press number 1 already. There you go. Press number 1. I hear your door.
I actually have Sister Mayana. Sister Mayana's on the line as well. She asked me to tap her in, so okay. Sister Mayana's on my line.
Okay. Mayana, say hello to the people. Shalom. All right, shalom. All right, so we're going to get this thing started. Guys. And let's give it the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the title is accurate. You did read it correctly. The title is basically saying farewell to the platform in the capacity that I have served the platform as well as the people. And I wanted to start off by reading Ecclesiastes 3, just a portion, because, some people, receive the news. Understandably, if someone has been and has become, part either officially or unofficially of your family network, virtually or physically, it's, hearing that the person is no longer going to be a mainstay can definitely affect those who are listening. So I definitely want to let you know that I understand that, and I appreciate all the feedback that I've had thus far. Shlomo says, or the preacher, Kohelet says in Ecclesiastes 3, to everything there is a season. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to count as lost. A time to keep and a time to discard. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. And a time for war and a time for peace. And as I was thinking, and I went down from 1 through 8, what I would say in my opening, it came to me that this is much befitting, as many of us sometimes don't understand what's happening, and maybe we don't like change, or we don't know where it puts us. But in Ecclesiastes, we understand there's a time for everything under the sun. And even when something may appear to be negative or appear to be positive, it's really subjective from the viewer, you understand? And so because I embrace understanding that there is a time to be silent, and then there's a time to speak. And so we are called as people of the Most High to be able to speak up for what is truth and what is right. And as my time here on the platform, as long as co-host, as always, Sister Mayana, hopefully I have succeeded in my portion of speaking up for the voiceless, for those who may have been afraid to say what was going on, for those who listened in silence but was able to get direction. And so for that, I am grateful to have had the opportunity in this capacity, in this space, to use my voice towards elevation and healing for the nation. Has it been done perfectly? No, but has it been done wholeheartedly? I would say yes. So that would be my opening thoughts. Again, the decision has come to part ways at this time. We even did a show at one time, When Two Don't Agree, right? Where we discover, we look at and analyze this thought of walking together, and when two come to a point where they don't agree, what should be done? You know what I mean? So if you missed that, I'm just going to give the promo. Go ahead and check that one out as we continue in this farewell. And I want to say I'm still here, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm still going to be here in different capacities, but I just won't be on this platform at 8 o'clock as you have been accustomed to hearing me for the last 3 years.
All right, once again, fam, it's Debate Talk. You said farewell to the First Lady. You want to hear from the people as well. You know, Amona has spent a lot of work on this platform. And for those that's listening for the first time, let's take a trip down memory lane real quick. I came across Amona on YouTube, you know, because, of course, I was looking for new special guests. That's what I was doing. I was trying to bring new Hebrew Israelites to the platform. And what I admired about her, and still do, is the manner in which she delivers the message. Of course, check out her work on the channel. You know, I'm happy everything posted in the description box for those who want to follow for the first time. That's checking out the show, because we have listeners all across the globe. And she can check out her work. She got a lot of work. She still does a lot of work even today. The Yummy Cottage. Okay, let them know about some of your projects.
No, yeah, as Brother South said, you know, the work continues in every capacity. Debate Talk for You is actually like about the third show that I've co-hosted before this, because every time there becomes a time where you continue to grow and you've done your job at that particular space, you know what I'm saying? And it's time to move on to other spaces so that you could continue to shine that light in dark places. And so this is, before this, I was on a reggae show. And before that, I was on another brother's show where, you know, I was able to do some of the same things and bring information to people that they haven't heard. So when one door closes, so to say, the Most High opens up another door and lets me know where he desires for me to be. In the meantime, real time, I am here in Florida doing, actually, we own a vegan takeout restaurant. We are experiencing a bit of changes as we speak, and we look forward to the direction that the restaurant is going in. This whole year has kind of been like product research and development. Okay, it's actually feeding people food, healthy food, and the things that they need to live a healthy life. So it's not, I don't just only teach about emotional healing or teach about history. I bring it into real life and see, because Torah is practical. And so that's what I'm doing now. I also have returned to my YouTube channel because I haven't been over there since I was pushing the Yummy Cottage. And so there were people over there who were looking for me. And so after a year, I returned and began to do videos. I won't be able to do it in the full capacity that I used to, but still, I want to be able to kind of maintain that connection. So those are some of the things that I do. I continue to do, as well as, you know, any way you see me on social media, you can always hit me up, ask me a question if you desire, and I'll help in the best way I can. If I can't help, I'll try to get you to someone who can help you. And so that's basically what I do, what I have been doing, and what I will continue to do.
Right. So even back then, 3-4 years ago, very active in the community and doing the YouTube videos. So like I said, leave all the links in the description box. Of course, for those that you can always go to the archives and go check out all the shows and see and listen for yourself all the work that Amona Israel has done. But the first show coming back on this platform I brought her on was with Divine Prospect, and that was a great show, classic, right, Amona?
Okay, that one was that one always gets referred to. You know, Ron is, it's interesting to verbally, not really spar, because I'm not a dude, but I kind of like that exchange, and that's what we got on the show. And what happened was it allowed for a lot of things to come out and things to be considered. And that's kind of the tone that the relationship challenge took, was bringing the brothers to the table, not speaking at them, but to them, creating an environment where we can have these well-needed discussions, and hopefully the listening audience can get a joke here and there, can get something to go look up, and it edifies and enriches their life, And so, yeah, that was the beginning of my time here on Debate Talk for You.
Yeah, but also missed that show was entitled Polygyny. What's wrong? What's wrong with that? Check that out in the archives. And once I brought her on the platform and I saw, I heard the dialogue, I was like, listen, I gotta bring her on the platform as a regular. This is something different. This is something new. And I took a lot of heat actually for that too. A female on the platform, what? Behind the scenes and in public, like, oh, people didn't want that to happen. But I said, no, this shit to be heard. It needs to happen. And therefore came the relationship challenge. Shout out to Mayana and the Water Swordsman.
Correct.
Shout out to those, without those, people bringing it forth and making a concept reality, it probably won't happen.
Correct. And shout out to a war. Shout out to a war, because those first 2 seasons were everything. Like, I look forward to those discussions because you never knew where they were going to end up. You know what I'm saying? Awar is an interesting guy, but nonetheless, I think for people who may have missed those beginning seasons, what you saw was people who subscribed to something but didn't let that stop them from dealing with other issues, right? And so we were able to sit down at the table and come back week after week with good spirits. And so, yeah, those were the early days, definitely, of the relationship challenge.
Yeah. And then later on, we expanded with Quete. Shout out to Quete.
Shout out to Quete.
Wherever you are, Quete, I know you're doing your thing. I see you on YouTube. Yeah, but give me a call. But yeah, so, over the years, and now, a lot of work has been done, and now we're here today. And Amuna, I just want you to, let the people know while we're here, maybe you got another show coming up, you can plug that out there as well.
Right. So if you're listening now, we are actually streaming from Under the Palm. That's something that what has started to happen, because I did notice that although Sal would bring over the information from Blog Talk and put it on YouTube, the shows of what we were doing were getting pushed down. And so for people who wanted just a straight catalog of the information without searching through all the videos, there was this Under the Palm concept that myself and Sister Miranda came up with before UTP. UTP was actually a transplanted from the YouTube channel to become the spinoff of the Relationship Challenge. And so we just started bringing over all of the videos so that you can just, have your full of the Relationship Challenge, and then later on UTP. From there, like I said, we were in that space. And as time progressed, you would be called on in different times and capacities to speak about one topic or sit on a roundtable panel where you move from host seat to actually a participant. You see what I'm saying? And so how are we here? Somebody was saying, well, if it's all good, then how are we here, right? How did we get here? And we got here to a difference of perspective of where we're going and what I am willing to do and what I'm not willing to do as the show progresses. And so that's kind of how we got to this particular place. So if you want more details, feel free to ask and I can give you more.
All right, once again, the number is 319-527-6239. See, we got people press number 1. Feel free to press number 1 and stand by, of course. The number to the phone line later on. Of course, we have Mona Israel, the First Lady. She's been talking, you said farewell to her. Again, if you want to chime in, people, because there's a lot of people, I see a lot of love on social media as well. There's a lot of people actually are, some people actually feel very emotional about what's happening. I have people hitting me up in the inbox and phone calls, stuff like that. They like that we work together. They like the fact that we work together. Some people complimenting, the work that Mona has done and mine as well. Okay, there we go. We're gonna go to the phone line because yes, I see you guys. But so basically, listen, call in number 319-527-6239. So Mona, listen, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You wanted the airwaves. You say you want to speak to people. You say it was going to be long anyway. You was going to speak to people and let them know what's going on. And,
right.
Pretty much back up.
We're definitely going to give the people a time to say whatever they have to say and ask the questions. But as you said, there are some people who this is what they look to on a Monday night at 8:00 Under the Palm of the Day Talk to You or the Relationship Challenge. They look to that dialogue, even if they never say anything, even if they're just watching on a replay. So I never underestimate the effect that I have in people's lives. And so if I come on a platform, wherever I am, and say the same thing and be the voice, then there's going to come a time that the test is going to come. Like, how much do you really believe what you're saying? You understand? And so we may stumble and fall along the way. But as I said, in recent times and recent events of those who've been paying attention to what's going on, we did come back and I did have a different vibe, as some would say, because I finally come to the point, and I said it on the first show of my return, that there's so much going on that we don't have any time for hypocrisy, or we don't have any time not to be real and say what needs to be said. So either we're going to get beyond it or we're going to go our separate ways. And I said that on the very first episode of Return when Sal was well enough to open back the platform. You understand? And this is kind of the course that it's taken. I've seen some things over the years, not necessarily on Debate Talk. I mean, the relationship challenge. But in other spaces on the platform that also represents the contribution to the platform that I personally didn't really like or agree with, especially because of the standard of the platform to say, keep it clean and professional. Like this is the mantra, to keep it clean and professional. No defacing people, no going in that direction so that we can stay in a respectful mode. And so when I'm noticing certain things are not in alignment with that, then I have to say something. You see, because after a time, if it's not improving, then I'm compelled to say, listen, we have to address this. And we have to address it in the same way we would want it to be addressed: clean, respectful, and professional. And so to my understanding, and we're going to have that conversation after this discussion, which is to kind of tell us how we did in addressing something that we saw in the peer review that happened a few weeks ago, And so this is kind of what brought everything to a head. But go ahead, Sal.
Yeah, so like you said, as you mentioned in the first show, you let people know that, you feel a, certain type of way about certain things, that's happening in the community or the program, stuff like that. So you definitely voice that out there. And I think there lies the issue because, as you know, when we first started this whole program, there was a particular blueprint that we had, pretty much like, okay, when you come on, you being on was to actually be a host where Torah only and Messianics become on the platform, and you bridging the gap, so to speak, so people can have positive dialogue, and you've done that for a long period of time, and that was the concept, and people didn't even know actually for a long time what we were. People didn't know I was Messianic, or they didn't even know if you were Torah only. Because why? Because of the way in which you speak to the community, as a whole. And you want to speak on that?
Yeah, definitely. And again, I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad you were able to voice that. I meant that. I meant it. I never hid who I was, but I didn't make it to be a stumbling block before, because my thing is that I'm not new to this. Let me just say, and so I understand people grow at their own rate and on their own time. And if you model a behavior that facilitates a discussion, then you don't know what will wake a person up. You don't know what direction. So you do have to put it out there. You see what I'm saying? You have to model the behavior that you're saying to the person, this is the right way to go. And so hopefully we were able to do that. But then as Kohelet or Solomon says in Ecclesiastes, there's a time for everything under the sun. And so being that was facilitated, being that a lot of the topics that were floating out there were addressed, it was time to address this huge elephant in the room. And that's where some people may be like, whoa, why is the relationship challenge addressing the Messianic divide? And that was because after 3 seasons, I realized that even though you're trying to look beyond this issue, the issue was what was informing a lot of the issue, if you can understand. So we talk about, did the Messiah do away with divorce? Then you're going to have a difference of opinion depending on what side of the book you lean on. And then we ask, can women teach, preach, or even speak? And depending on what side of the book you lean on, that's going to inform your opinion. So after we have done all those shows, then it came to the time I would not be true to form if I didn't say, now it's the time. Now that we saw that we can have civil dialogue, now it's the time for us to address what everybody wants to talk about. But we're going to address it in a way that we're going to remain respectful. There were 3 episodes, and, to the best of the ability, it was to facilitate a dialogue and not an argument or even a debate. And in some places, it necessarily didn't go well, but for the overall perspective of it, I think the relationship challenge was successful in facilitating that discussion. And so when that tide changed, and we come down the line where now we get to the point where we were called upon I was called upon, and Sister Maya was called upon to bring some of that energy, some of the energy that we established in those 3 years, to bring some of that energy to this debate. I was called on. I didn't volunteer myself to say, I was called on to say, hey, we want the debate to be better. Please, and so now you have to go on this perspective side in which you belong. And so this is where I moved from hosting Muna. I wasn't hosting the debate. Now I'm on a team to try to facilitate something that it can have a better outcome. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when that happened, which is recently, we had the first show and then the debate was canceled. You see, so when the space of the blueprint moved from doing this to coming over here and using that energy over here, it changed the tides. And when I came into this space, I was able to see more of what I necessarily didn't see just doing the relationship challenge.
Yeah, what was it that you still saw?
Oh, well, because my thing is debates here and there, but I wasn't able to listen to and stomach debate after debate after debate, right? And so it's now my part of my responsibility to know, because I like to research, so I have to know what happened. So I have to begin to go back and listen to some debates, right? I have to go back and listen to the research. Who's on the team? What have they said before? What is their stance? This is what you do when you're going to go into a debate. So when I begin to do that, I'm like, whoa, what in the world? You understand what I'm saying? Like, what's been happening over here? And so that's me coming into, wow, this is not good. Right? And so that's kind of what was happening, the research that I had to do now that I am chosen to be on a team to represent Torah and hopefully get the debate to a place where we can get to some resolve.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, we talk about the On Trial series that we going to get another show in March. Actually, Gavin marked up March 8th. Yeah, we have another trial coming up. We were supposed to actually go before I got sick and I was in the hospital. Mona was on the team that was before I got sick, unfortunately. But talk about that trial. And actually, that was like one of the shockers to the world. Like, oh, Mona's on the team?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
I got the first lady on the team with the 3 guys.
Correct.
Yeah, you want to see this.
Correct.
Also, the hype was out there.
Mm-hmm.
People, they wanted to hear, they wanted to see. I think we did a show talking about, just like a promotional show, just talking about it. I asked you a few questions on why you decided to do this, things of that nature. So, yeah, but unfortunately, that didn't happen because I got sick, But we're going to do the show again, y'all. Actually, in March, we have a show lined up, another trial on the 8th. We're going to have a preview show, too, the week before. So, yeah, so we're here, guys. We're here. Matter of fact, before we get into, let me answer for the few guys. There's a lot of people that want to say some things. You want to go to the phone lines?
You go to the phone lines. I'm always open to going to the phone lines as long as we keep it clean and respectful.
All right, let's go to the phone lines, fam. Because we have a lot of people that want to show some love and talk about things or, say your piece, like we always say, just keep it clean, keep it professional. Let's go to 813-240 live. Right. Okay, so it wasn't paid when he paid that rent, right?
Yeah. Brother Chris.
Hey, Chris. Chris. Hey, yeah. How much money did I take up there? He doesn't even hear us. Let's go to the next person. 347-731. You're live. 347. Shalom.
Hi, shalom, Iman.
Okay, all praise to the Most High, of course. I'm just so sorry to hear that this series is ending. And I have to say so, with no disparagement yet, I'm a little disappointed in you. And I'm a little surprised because I went back over some of the tapes and I heard this castigating that the young man who was defending the lieutenant was doing. It's supposed to be in a trial type situation. And I thought that the premise of this program was that, there would be no disrespect and everybody would respect each other. Here's what this man went on. And he actually was castigating people. And the thing about it is, I don't know how you can actually call a trial. And my mind. I've got a check, with something with the lawyer of the job, which is actually an unfair arena when you think about it. For people who observe the shop, so I just want to say that I was a little bit disappointed by that. I've heard that, under the comment, all the rest of that is going on. I was followed at the big way took place. I certainly followed us here, but I just was just disappointed. I feel so sad about it because you know what happened? Saw something so great, and then next thing you know, we're at each other's throats. And that's why a lot of institutions and a lot of our, it's failed because we're at each other's throats and we're still not respectful. And then, the popular saying is that we can disagree about that a lot of people don't seem to want to follow that line. Everybody has a right to their opinion, and we have to realize that when you're talking about debate, the very meaning of debate is that you're going to have a opposing side, and you're going to have to listen to questions here. But the thing is that everybody's entitled to that perspective, and everybody's entitled to that opinion, and it should be more with respect. You don't have to tear that level. Strong, that's all. So I have to say that I was a bit disappointed,
Yeah, fine.
The hobby.
I know you went on. I love you. I appreciate you getting input. But I just want to let you know, for the record, that was the first show that we did on the on-trial stage. And when you do a first show, that was an experiment pretty much. How we're going to do content, the new series on the show, and we had Torah only on trial. So, but this time actually in March, we're going to have the Messianics on trial. So, I've learned from the first show. I'm going to tweak some things to make it bigger and better. So, gotta learn from those things. I'm not going to say that necessarily that's the way, there's a lot of things that could have went right on that show. Right. That was the first one. That was the first one of its kind with that particular series. And my goal is to make it better as we keep going with the on-shot series. So, I don't understand how you feel, and, I get it.
Just as a moderator that when people start to get a little bit off the grid, that you have to, pull it back into a perception so that they don't become offensive and they don't become disrespectful. Like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I respect some people. I mean, it's one of the art forms of learning how to debate is that even when you hear something that offenses you, that you can still, present your own point without getting, over the top about it. And, maybe sometimes I know that I get real hot sometimes about things. I know that I have to come to the proper art of things. And, sometimes it goes on, here on it, but you can't always do that. Not if you're having a meaningful debate. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And Mona, you want to respond? You want to talk?
Yeah, I want to thank Ima for calling in. Ima actually, Ima is one who I met years ago, and have interfaced with over the years, from the prayer line with Sister Kokavia to Take Time to Heal to Sister. You know what I'm saying? And so Ima is one of them, as well as Sister Mayana is in New York. So she met up with Ima. They're doing positive things in the community, as well as with Sister Aisha, and taking things from off virtual spaces and putting it into real time. So Ima is definitely one who has supported in different spaces that we've gone, and actually willing to pull our coattail when we're going off. So I definitely appreciate her for being true to form and calling in and letting her voice be heard. I love you, Ima.
So now we appreciate you calling. Let's go to the next caller. The number is 347-627. 319-527-6239. Let's go to 478-21 be live.
Hey, what's going on, pal, man? Great to be back on the show, man. I'll be back on tomorrow. I just want to put clarity, so I can have true understanding on why. I want to know why the sister is actually leaving the show. From her perspective, why she's going to be gone. I want to hear from her. Why she's actually gone. So if you could please, Monica, could you explain, could from me, you know, the reasons why you feel that you need to go, or you are leaving, or you feel that's best for you. Could you please explain and clarify for me, please? And then I also want to address, when you're done, I also want to address some of the things that your brother had to say. Just called in. I'm sorry.
Okay, I missed in the beginning. Who's calling? Hello?
I'm sorry. I'm muting myself so I can hear you speak. This is Twan.
It's who? Who is it? Twan. Okay. Okay, Antoine. Okay, thank you so much. Like I said, as we were talking, then we went to the cause. The lead up is essentially a difference of principled opinions, I suppose, as to the direction and what I actually came on to do and where the conversation is going now. As Sal said, I came on to kind of bridge this gap between the feminine principle and the masculine principle, and ultimately, because there's so many different affiliations, it became between the Messianic and non-Messianic conversation. And so that's what I've done consecutively as well, with the help of Sister Mayana, Brother Awar, and later on those who came onto the platform. As things progressed and I was called in different places to begin to branch out, then I have to present myself in a way that that role called for. And so when now I got some heat for the Messianic divide, and that was okay, because by that time I was definitely prepared to have that conversation. But a lot of people may have not seen me in that capacity. And, you know, when you begin to what some may think is switch up, then it becomes like, okay, what's going on here? But I still played the facilitator in that role, trying to get an understanding of what's going on, whether or not we can get beyond it, or whether or not we need to go our own separate ways. When the show was off, you know, that was that. And then when I came back, there's still some things that are circulating around. So when I came back, I was asked by Brother Davon, Brother Chris, Brother Ilan, to come on, as well as Sister Mayana, there's going to be another trial. Now, I had an opportunity to hear the trial. These are the things that I was talking about that I wasn't too, it didn't sit well with me. When I heard what was supposed to be the trial, it wasn't that. It was fair. It wasn't fair. It was unjust weights. The way in which the people were addressed, not getting enough time. I heard all of that. You see what I'm saying? But nonetheless, I wasn't in that arena. And so I'm just observing what's going on. Maybe that's brothers talking, whatever the case may be. And so now when those who have saw what we can add to the conversation ask us to come on, I took a different position because I had to, because the request they called for that. So when I began to do some research on some of the things that has transpired on the platform and the way people are being treated, for me, that there was a issue between what is said to happen and what was actually happening. And understand now I'm going to be preparing to step into this arena, right? And so you begin to look at the personalities of the people, what's going on, who debated who in times past, and how did that go, and all of that type of stuff. Right? So that leads us up to having to be in contact and communication with our brothers and sisters as we're trying to plan for this exchange. Okay. When ultimately I hear what would have been 2 weeks ago, so this is all the backstory. 2 weeks ago, I hear this conversation from Brother Josh about all Torah only. And some people will say, hit dog will holla, you know, I chew my condom of a condom. 99, right, yes. So there's the conversation that comes out in the guise of a teaching that actually did not sound like a teaching on the Shabbat day, no less. And it was what many perceived as an attack, okay? But it was a challenge that was issued, okay? It was a challenge that was issued. So I told Brother Sal that I'm not going to come on the relationship challenge. I will appear under the peer review and take a look at what's going on here, take a look at the position that was forwarded, and respectfully respond to it. And myself and Sister Mayana took that charge, and we did that. Now, for me, that would have been an opportunity to engage the information, but that's ultimately not what happened. After the information was engaged, if you look on the countless videos, I usually don't jump in the comment section and beef with anybody. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I usually don't do that. So after the information is forwarded and both sides are going to respectively fall on whatever side they fall on. And the thought is we're going to keep it clean and respectful. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. And that turns the tide of many things that's going to have myself, Brother Sal, and all parties involved to essentially take a side on how you perceive what's happening and how it's reflecting on your position here at Debate Talk for You. Because we're talking about me being positioned here for 3 years at Debate Talk for You. So this is, if you want more answers to the question, so it ultimately, okay, well, let me just finish it up.
You did a good job. You did a good job.
So let me just,
go ahead.
right. So ultimately, what comes to me is not inquiry about my position. What comes to me is what was confirmed to be an ultimatum, right? Because the thought is that I'm pursuing this and it's looking bad. I'm pursuing Josh. You understand what I'm saying? And that wasn't the case. That was certainly not the case. And it's not necessarily breaking form from what we have done in other spaces, such as reviewing other things that have come up in the community. But for some reason, this particular instance spiraled to where now people have to stand on their square, so to speak. You understand what I'm saying? So that's where I am today. That's where I'm at today.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. So I'm asking, and you explained yourself well. I understand. You went through the history of everything, and how you felt. You said you felt that within the comments, like you've never gone into the comment section to do all this stuff, and all this stuff. So I guess my question is, why exactly? Like, because you said there was like a disconnect as far as the ultimatum. Can you explain that part to me? To clarify, I guess that's my question. Could you clarify the ultimatum? That is like the holdup.
Essentially, essentially it's the thought that I am actively pursuing or in a back and forth with Josh. If you look at the tape, that's not what I'm doing. You understand? And so it's a failure in communication, but it's also reflective of a stance that was taken. And given, as I just said, the history, that showed me that, as I read in the beginning of Ecclesiastes, the time has come. You understand what I'm saying? The time has come. And so I didn't take it necessarily as, I just took it as, okay, the time has come. You see what I'm saying? Because I asked Brother Silent, he's there, so you can ask him. I asked him clearly, he wanted me to move on and get back to what I was doing. But again, this issue that I see arise with the way in which Brother Josh is addressing the people or not addressing the specific people, and the dangers of throwing a wide net over an entire set of people and using very descriptive, disparaging language, right? To classify a certain set of people that I myself and others that I know fall under, it's a dangerous.
Right.
And so to do that, and I've said it here, and wait, hold on, brother. Hold on, one second.
I don't think he was talking about you in particularly, because he was talking about, I heard the list that he was talking about, and I don't, well, that you put yourself under that umbrella of the people that he was talking about, because I heard him, and I heard him actually, specifying that it wasn't all of them.
Right.
I don't think you want to put yourself under that umbrella, because I know that you know that there are some people, because just like in the medical, there are some people that he was saying the same thing about. He said it in the show itself. And some of y'all been saying you were saying the exact thing. So I don't think you want to put yourself under the umbrella of people that he was also talking about too. So I don't think you want to put yourself under that.
I hear you.
This is Mayana.
Well, hold on, Mayana. Go ahead, Mayana.
Brother, this is Mayana. Listen, what the brother did, you said you listened. What the brother said was, I would have anyone. At that point, it's a zero-sum game. There's not a 99.9. There's no possibly the 0.1%. He said anyone to answer this challenge. So at that point, the Muna, myself, or anybody else can answer the challenge without anyone saying to us, no, he didn't call your name. At that point, he doesn't have to.
Right. No, I agree. I think you're absolutely right with that. I think the issue that most people have with your guys' response was that, even though we can play semantics and play on that, but we can't say that he said 99% and then not say that he said I ain't talking about all
I didn't say that. What I said, on what I said, he said anyone. So which makes your point now completely moot. He didn't say 99.9. He said anyone can answer this challenge. So I don't know who has an issue with someone answering the challenge when he said anyone can do it.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I think both of you are well within your right to answer this challenge. I'm not saying that you should or that you can't, that you are wrong for attempting to answer the challenge. I think the issue comes when you guys responded to the challenge is the actual response to what he was actually challenging. I think there's a disconnect within that. What he was actually trying to get you, not necessarily you guys, but somebody from that Torah only mindset to respond to. I think the disconnect is when he was like, okay, I want you to talk about this or talk about that. That was the challenge, and not necessarily a peer review, because a peer review is not what he was asking.
Interesting, because if you go back to the tape, he specifically said, tell me how I'm doing. He specifically said, I'm going to teach a Tanak lesson, and I want you to tell me whether or not Josh knows what he's talking about. That is what he asked us to do. And I can get the time marker for you. Have the transcript. He asked for us to review his lesson.
I've been patient. I want you to get everything out. I'm going to go step back and be quiet and let you think. Go ahead.
Just one at a time.
Okay, no. What you said. I want us to be clear, because I just want us to be clear on what Josh actually said and what we actually did. So to the point of he wasn't talking to us, we just established he absolutely was talking to everyone, because he says anyone. And then to the point of, well, that's not what he wanted you to review. He specifically said, I'm going to go into a lesson. I want you to review whether or not I know what I'm talking about. So to tell us that, unless you can point out where we didn't do, he says to do this thing and we didn't do that. That's what we asked for the people to do. What we're hearing is a lot of.
Well, okay. I hear you. So I'm saying, okay, so that's what you got from the challenge. What I got from the challenge is that he wanted, and I thought I heard him say this several times, and maybe I'm wrong, but I thought the point of the challenge was for Tanak only to come on Debate Talk for You and do lessons teaching about the Torah, and from the Torah, like things about the Sabbath day or the feast days or how we should love, or how, forgiveness from the Torah, or some about the commandments or something like that. That's what I got from it. Instead of lessons on Debate Talk to You constantly attacking the New Testament or attacking Jesus or attacking, whatever they were attacking. This is what I got from listening to it. And I thought I heard him say it over and over and over again. That's what he wanted them to do as far as their lesson was concerned. And when it becomes to the point about the peer review, I hear what you're saying. Was when he was coming about, as far as the peer review, was the actual scripture that he was going to. Like, what scripture did he go to in his presentation to say that, or what he said, if you want to challenge a reviewer, what scripture did he actually go to that said, okay, you shouldn't be, no, Joshua was wrong when he went here, or Joshua was wrong about this, or Joshua was wrong about that? Because I agree that not only do that, but I also agree, and I agree because Josh also said it too, that not all of us act like that, but I agree that, not all to not only do that, but to not only, I also agree that I don't recall, and I know you said you've been on Debate Talk to You for about 3-some years. Mm-hmm. Well, I know Josh and Absolute Bible Truth has been on Debate Talk to You since season 1, since it started. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be patient years. I'm trying to wait. I'm saying, fine.
I'm listening. Yeah, when you that's right. Yeah. We review some of this. I'm not getting the feeling that you listened to what we said, because one of the things we said, we addressed the fact that, as you said, you heard us say we've been on for the last 4 years, the fourth season that we've been on together on this specific platform. So if the challenge, the way you understood it, and you didn't hear the original when he said, this is what the challenge is, and asked us to review his work, but all you heard was the later parts of the challenge and not the initial one, that's fine. Let's say all you heard was him saying,
I just said it like not even 2 minutes ago. I just said that I already talked about the initial challenge. Where did he go? Let me finish to demonstrate that I heard everything that you said. So in addition to us reviewing his material, the idea of he wants to see someone who is Tanak only, teaching only the Tanak. If you listen to our broadcast, we said repeatedly that one of the other issues we had with that statement was all you have to do is check the catalog. The relationship challenge doesn't go around trying to attack or dagger messianics. We're doing what he tells people, what he's saying no one is doing. We already have met the challenge he put out, because that's what the relationship challenge did. That's what Under the Palm did. That's what every conversation Amun and I have done on the Bay Talk for You for years. So the idea that he's waiting for someone to do what we have been doing for 4 years, that is, I think I said on record, that's absurd. We already did. Why would you challenge us to do what we've already done? I don't think you should say absurd. That might be offensive to people.
Why?
Because people have problems with people saying absurd or silly or delusional when they all mean the same thing.
No, when I say that a comment is absurd, I didn't say Josh was absurd. When Josh said that we were silly, delusional women, that is a direct insult to the woman. I never said that he was an absurd person. No, now that's the difference. Clearly.
Hold on. What is that?
To bring whatever you guys to us in the comment section into this conversation, so the people who are listening in don't know that for 182 comments you have been insulting Muda and I. Right now you are repeating all the things in those comment sections. So I want that to be on record. That's what you're talking about now. You're trying to sneak all that into this conversation. Now, if we want to talk about what you asked about, which is the Muda leaving, we should do that. If you want to talk about the peer review, we'll be discussing that in about an hour or 30 minutes or whatever. You can definitely come over and talk to Amun and I about our peer review. But that's not what this conversation is about.
Yeah, they're gonna have a show actually where people can peer review them on with their previous show. So definitely go check that out. I just want to say this for the record, as far as bringing up seeing certain things on the platform that's not necessarily going a certain type of way. There are going to be those kind of shows. Not all the shows are great. There's some shows that I could say, okay, man, that could have went better. And there's other shows that were like, that's classics. I mean, it's all a part of radio. You're gonna have shows like that. But in regards to Amuna, are you back? Are you back, Amuna?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, because Mayana jumped in. In regards to the ultimatum, let's make that thing clear to the people.
Well, then, Sal, I would think
I said to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
What I said to you was basically, after you do your next class in regards to, or whatever, whether a peer review, view class, or whatever, let's go back to the formula, the original formula, which was to, do the relationship challenge type style of things. You didn't say yes, you didn't say no. You just went on to, what you thought, as far as, where things are going now with the whole Josh situation.
Right.
And I was just trying to, say, let's, okay, I hear you, but let's get back to that formula, and you said pretty much, and then, is this an ultimatum? So I said, you know what, but like, if you want to put it much in a nutshell, yes, that's the case, because if we can't go that particular route, because I see it, I hear from the fans, I hear from the people, first of all, they don't like the male versus female dynamic. People don't like that. That's one. Two, you're a host on a program, right? So you represent the brand meat, basically. You represent that brand in itself. Things you're doing, stuff like that. There's other hosts. There's BA, there's Anonymous, there's Shanti, there's Mayana, right? let's say hypothetically speaking, I'll let you do those things, and you do like Mayana said in the social media that every time Josh does the Tanak challenge, you're gonna address that, right? Mayana, confirm that. Right?
I'm sorry. I actually wasn't paying attention. What was the question? Yeah, for the record, I'll confirm. What was the question?
Oh, you wasn't paying attention? Okay, well, I got your attention now.
Yeah, you do.
The family know that you said, pretty much that every time Josh does a show, that you will address that when it's a time challenge. You will address that. I just want to get a confirmation on that. Yes, yeah, no.
Yeah, of course I did. I said it on the air, and I think I said, and I definitely said it in the comment section. I said, if he comes here, well, no. If he comes here, let's be clear on what I said. We're not confused.
I'm very clear. I got you.
Okay, then no. I'm gonna say no if you're not gonna let me know what I'm verifying. Okay.
I can hear you loud and clear.
So based off you and say something. No, it's not all because you know what, Sal. Okay, so okay.
No, I'm just asking you one. I just asked you one question. I said yeah, nay.
Because you're not putting all the information out there. If that's what we're doing, is that what we're doing? We're not gonna put all the information out there.
No, I
want to make sure. I'm going to ask you a yeah and nay. We're going to put all the information.
Yeah, no, of course we're going to put the information out. That's what we're doing. That's what we're here.
Okay. But can I give the rest of the information? We're going to just put what you want to put out there.
That's what we know. Well, we're going to do all of that. We're going to put out all the information out there.
So yeah to yours. Now, can I give the rest of the information?
Stand by.
Okay.
You got to get stand by. There's people listening. So, gonna have to, talk in a certain type of way. But yeah, so basically that you put it out there that every time Josh does a Tanak challenge, you will address that, or you will do a show about that. And congratulations on the views. You got a lot of views on that.
You're welcome.
However, I just as a producer of this program and understanding as a host that you represent, me. I was just saying we need to go to a certain direction, back to, the formula where nobody's looking at anybody biasly, because I hear the feedback. I hear people talking about different things, and I don't want anybody looking at you ladies in a certain type of light. That was my thing. But, y'all didn't want to hear that. You didn't want to hear that. And, we just can't agree on where I think we need to go. And that's where it lies, where the divide happens. Yeah. Because I'm
now can I ask? You told me to let you in. Now you're going to
stand by. I mean, listen. First of all, this is supposed to be a Muna here too. Just a Muna. You jumping in, so.
My name is.
Can you just stand by?
Ask me to confirm something. I wasn't paying attention.
Listen, okay, well, if you're not, I don't know if you paid attention or not, because you're saying 1 minute you are, 1 minute you're not. I don't know. I don't get it.
but you're not listening.
Yeah, well, Muna. Right?
Say, well, my understanding.
Stand by. You gotta get your chance to speak. You gotta get your chance to speak. So yeah, I just want to make it clear to the audience that that's what I did. I just wanted her to go back to a certain direction. If you check the show 4 years ago, 3 years ago, it was a certain type of direction it was at that time that it's not necessarily today. And third point, if I were to let this happen, that leaves room for the other hosts to do the same. Anonymous Hebrew, all the other hosts would be able to do the same. And, it would be just people getting at all type of, just be out of control. At some point, I had to stop at a certain point. But go ahead.
Can I say something? This is a moment.
Well, no, I finally get to speak. I mean, it's not like he called my name, asking if didn't stop me from speaking. But here's what happened. Yes, I did say if he came on the platform and he was out of pocket, that we would review it every time he did that. And I said that I wasn't going to be intimidated out of not doing that. Furthermore, what you're not telling the people, which is very weird because we had a 3-hour conversation about this, is that after I said that, you called me with 2 of the other brothers and asked me to reconsider that. And on the phone with you, I did that. All of us know that I reconsidered that. So I don't know why you're omitting that, not telling the people. But even though I said that, I said, I hear you, I'll reconsider it. And I said that to you. So why aren't you telling the people that? Why are you leaving it with, Anna, didn't you say that? Didn't you say that? Can I get a confirmation? I said something else after that. Did I get a confirmation?
Stand by. You said you reconsider, right? But you didn't get back to me and say, you know what? You didn't get back to me and say, you know what? You say you'll think about it, you'll reconsider. You said more than reconsider. You said you'll think about it. I'll reconsider, whatever. I'll think about it. For you guys, I'll think about it. Right?
Right. And did I do anything contrary to that?
But you didn't get back to me and say, listen, this is what I decided to do. I just see an advertisement on, you know, social media that you're doing another Tanak challenge show.
And that's actually, again, for 3 hours, we talked about that. You apologize to us because you know that's not what that flyer says. That flyer is not a Tanak challenge. That flyer plainly says we are going to review our own work and open up the record so the people can tell us what we did wrong. Like that brother that called in and said, I think that you misunderstood the brother. We were going to give all those people an opportunity. They were talking to us in the comment section to engage us, talk to us, help us reconsider, help us look at ourselves so we can be sync ourselves in our conduct in that conversation. It had nothing to do with Josh. I read it to you. I read it to you 3 times until you finally apologized to us for telling us you misunderstood that flyer.
Yeah, because you said that it wasn't about Josh, that particular show you're doing,
right.
on today. You said it's for the people. I get it. Right. So, you know, I had a different concept of it, and you presented what it was.
Okay.
Totally, I didn't think you were doing. So, that people will call in and peer review you for what you've done on that show. So, I didn't think you were doing that. So, for that, I apologize.
Right.
So, yeah. It's right.
So that, again, so I'm sticking to the last thing I said to you. I'm proving to you. You said, oh, but you didn't ever go back to me. I don't know what you're going to do. The next time I saw you, you're having another Tanak challenge. That's obviously not what happened. I had a conversation with you saying I will rethink myself and then put it out for the people to help me. And I'm going to sign up to, okay, man, good idea. Let's do it together. So let the people, let what we did. So that's me holding up and doing what I said I would do.
Yeah, but I also brought up the question, what if somebody calls and asks you, of course, if we're going to get rid of Josh's name, is the show still not about Josh? You said no.
I said to you, I told you to give me an example. If they call in and say something about Josh that's not about our topic, we would tell them, I would tell them, that's not what we're here to talk about. Did I not say that?
Right, you said it's not about Josh. It's not about Josh. Yes.
Right. That's not what we're talking about. It's always to stay on top because that's the way I think. That's the way I think.
See. Like I said, so you made it clear, even if the callers call in and ask about Josh, that it's still not about Josh. So therefore, I said, okay, since you put it in it that way, I apologize. And yeah, I did. Couple minutes, I apologize. It's not a problem. That's fine. But as far as the ultimatum, people talk about it. Let's talk about that. I just feel like pretty much I told you let's go back to a certain direction that you should have been willing to do because we've been doing that. But I just feel like personally that you didn't want to go that direction. There's other things that you want. You wanted to continue on a certain path, and I didn't think it was good, for you or for the ladies, to be doing that, the back and forth thing over and over with those ends. Like when it's going to stop. It has to end at some particular point, and that wasn't respected. Okay.
Again, for those of the listening audience who just joined us, this is Debate Talk for you. We are saying farewell to Holy Israel, I am she. We're having a discussion, a real conversation about how miscommunication, how assertions and assumptions can lead to certain spaces. Everything is a teaching moment and an opportunity for us to learn. So prayerfully, we're not taking this as an opportunity to be like, ooh, but really learn from what's happening. As Sal is saying, the ultimatum, as again, you're hearing a discourse happening from Sister Mayana to Brother Sal about how something was perceived and not asking sufficient enough questions. So when the ultimatum comes down the pipe to me, no questions were asked. I did not have any discussions. There were assumptions made and assertions. And so I was expected to answer to something that I did not have a personal conversation about. Neither was I guilty for. The peer review that was done with the information that Josh presented, by the way, is not the first time it was done. There was another peer review that looked at Brother Divine Prospect's assertions that he was making in the community. We invited Brother Divine Prospect. He got on the line. We had a conversation. It was over, right? And so it's not the first time that we had another brother, Kwete, ask us to take a look at one of his books. So it's not the first time that we've looked over some information. However, it is the first time that we've been drugged to this degree in the comment section. It is the first time that we've been called all out of our name just for being respectable, calling the brother a brother and addressing some inaccuracies that he presented in his class. And so it went from keeping it clean and professional while the Debate Talk for You staff stood by and watched the Josh do what he did, as well as some of his supporters in the comment section. And at that time, the tide has changed. The tide began to change, but at that time, it's like, okay. And if anyone desires, I bid you to go over there and look, and please review the information that I put up there. And the most I did was invite people to have an open dialogue. You understand? So when Sal is coming to me, making an assumption, I'm like, okay. I never told you I was going to relentlessly pursue him. I said what I needed to say. I saw the comments. And I said my piece, and that was pretty much it. You understand what I'm saying? So in that space, I felt that and I must say, I do find Josh's delivery highly inflammatory. You understand? Whoever wants to make an excuse for how he delivers what he delivers, you cannot insult and verbally berate people and abuse them and then think at the end of the day, it's all good in the hood. It doesn't work like that. And so, yes, I take issue with that. And by extension, I take issue if that type of behavior is allowed, period. But one should not do it. As Iman just called in and said, we shall not do it, and another one should not do it. You should not be called silly and thirsty and stupid and Jezebel and wicked, all these things, all these beautiful, colorful adjectives, because you didn't like what the person said. That behavior is unacceptable. And if I stay on knowing that I'm going to go away quietly and resume talking about this laying with the woman, make her your wife, while I'm still on a platform that's allowing this type of behavior, that will cause an internal issue within me. And I can't allow for that because I have to sleep at night. You see what I'm saying? And so that is the stuff that if a phone call would have been asked, then I could have expressed that. But that opportunity wasn't afforded me. And so I just took it for what it was. And so that is my take on the ultimatum and why I ultimately gave the ball back into Sal's court and let him know that he already made his choice.
For the record, also, Mona, even since when you first got here, there's a lot of teachers that come. You know, there's a series of different teachers come on the show, and some topics that you like religion. That's a strong topic. There's some people out here that came on this program and they support it. And as a host, we will voice our opinions on it behind the scenes. But you wouldn't just, matter of fact, you did shows about polygyny. And, well, you would never put certain people, maybe didn't hear the classes of other people that did shows like that on my program. What I'm saying is there's a lot of different people that have different unorthodox ways or different ways of teaching. And of course, tune in for those teachers that you like and tune in for the people that you don't like. It's a radio show. You're not going to like every single thing that comes on the platform. It's a radio show. That's just clear. It's a radio program. But it's up to you to pick, what you want to address and what you don't want to address. So I don't want you to, because you hear certain shows, think that, put the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. It's a radio show. You're going to hit, there's different segments, there's different content on here. And, if you listen to certain things, you like it, tune in and tune out if you don't like things. So, but there's other callers, though, man. There's other callers. Let's get to the callers. 240-731, you're live.
Hey, what's going on, brother? This is Brother Hakeem, a.k.a. Brother KC.
Hey, KC, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm just listening to the show, man. And I just wanted to say that with that show, I was the first individual to put a comment in your YouTube section. And I was just put the comment, and it was nothing derogatory, nothing against these women at all. And I just put on there, when I read the title of the victim, the class or the show, I thought it was an actual class. And I just like, okay, well, where is the class that was refuting the information that Brother Josh brought? And hey, it wasn't you, Imuna. It wasn't you, Sister Imuna. I got to give it to you. And I was in the thread. I was in the thread a lot. And you did not come out and, just was constantly going at people. But the other one, Mayana, you came at me from the jump. And I didn't say anything that was wrong. And you came out with that. You may not have thought you did, but you did. And
okay, why don't you read my comment? What did I say?
Excuse me?
What did I say?
You don't know? I'm there right now. But you asked, basically what you said was, well, B assessed the class, and you need to press play on the video. What something?
Should I read it? Should I read it? I mean, should I read it? Are you afraid? Would you mind if I go and get it and read it?
Go ahead and read it. Read it. What is it? Read.
Not a problem. None of us should have actual facts. I will do that. Let me go get it for you. Continue to talk while I get the actual facts. Continue, please.
No, I want you to read it.
Don't let you. I didn't expect for you to come and try to cause accusations. Allow me to go get it.
I didn't cause any accusations.
Stand by.
Calm down. You're live on me.
I'm gonna mute you for a minute. Stand by. Let her read it, and then I'm gonna bring you back in.
I'll let you know when I have it. So go ahead and let the brother speak. I'm gonna go through the 182 comments to find it.
Okay.
Who is he again? Who is the person that said?
It was the very first comment.
Okay, the first comment on it when I go in is me, and it's not him, which is why, once again, I need to know what name I'm looking for.
Okay, whatever. Just, whatever. It doesn't even matter.
It does matter. Truth always matters.
I did not come with any malice or anything.
Okay, so was my answer malice? You have to know.
The only question that I came with was that, why did you do a class? And you stated that, we went to some scriptures. And I asked, why didn't you go to the scriptures that the brother brought out and rebuked them?
We did. We did. That's why I probably said, you said, where do we do it? I said, press play.
No.
Yeah, everything he brought out, he only brought out two.
You had the transcript.
Correct.
You had some 90-page or whatever transcript.
97 pages.
The day before, whatever it was. And that's fine. And I just pointed out, I said, the brother was not talking to you guys. I said, he's not talking to you simply because the simple fact, you don't do that. And I said, the people he said that he was talking to were those who actually did the act that he brought out in the class.
Okay, here's the answer. This brother is on the platform under the name Brother KC, aka Chacon. He says, where is the answer to the challenge? And then he puts an emoticon with the I don't know shrug face. And then he says, can I get a review of the information he brought forth from the Tanak? My response was,
that's right.
Good morning. Because you know how I'm such a nasty person. Good morning. The information Josh brought forward was addressed several times. You can find it by pressing play. I'm sorry, what nasty attitude did I give you again? Would you like a screenshot of my reply?
Continue reading.
That was my entire comment. Then you come back. After I say good morning to you, you come back.
No, you run out and when I listen to the entire thing.
Excuse me, you came on here and said that I was nasty to you when you asked the question. I just read for the public my reply, which is still there for everyone to see. I literally said good morning to you. I said the information Josh brought forward was addressed several times. You can find it by pressing play. So again, tell the people how I was so mean to you.
Why would you come out and say that? Press play.
Because you asked, where is the answer to the challenge? Like literally, we answered the challenge in the first 20 minutes. That says to me, you didn't listen to it. Good morning, sir. We answered it several times. You can find it by pressing play. That's what I said to you.
In other words, Paul, you took that as a condescending comment as far as you know, because you listened to the whole show.
And that's not the only.
So how you feel about something? Okay, the fact is I said good morning to you and answered your comment.
And I am not about to go through all of those comments to show how he was just going at individuals because of the simple fact they agreed with the information that Josh brought forth.
You didn't agree. You asked me a question. You said there is the challenge. I gave you an answer. Why did you? The argument one could argue that you were being facetious in the comments by saying, where is the answer?
And no way did I, in none of my comments was I facetious against you or anybody else. I just asked a question and I even posed the example of me being a Christian and some about this, that, and the third. And I said, it's not dealing with me. I'm not going to even answer that because the fact that individual is not even talking to me.
Okay, that's explaining, that's showing the people that you were the one that had an issue with us, and it's not proving that we had an issue with you. You came on here to say that I was mean to you. When I read my response is clearly not mean to you. All right, conversation. Have a great night.
Let me just say this. No, ain't no good night.
Oh, I mean, whenever I'm nice, look at how upset you are.
Whatever. Let me just say goodbye. Because
bye. Shalom.
Bye-bye. Shalom. Take care of yourself. All right. Bye. All right. All right. I see, temperature's getting high. Okay. We have a lot more callers standing by, though. Mooney, you want to say something before we move on? Next call? Yeah.
Again, for those who are calling in, who this is very unorthodox version of a discussion, but once again, there's a lot of emotions that are involved. There's a lot of emotional investment. To be honest, when I first spoke to Sal, I was upset. You know what I'm saying? I was very upset for different reasons, Yes. But and Charlotte's like, oh, Amuna, where's the healing? And I'm like, I'm upset. So this is what you're gonna get. In all honesty and where's the healing? I'm like, it's right here, and I'm gonna let you know how it is that I feel about certain things. But it's understandable because of how people are perceiving. Again, I didn't go in looking for people who didn't agree. And then, if people have the right to agree or disagree, my contention is when it's being allowed, when it clearly states no, foul language, and that includes verbal attacks. It didn't warrant it, essentially. If there was a question, one could have simply asked. It did not warrant, the whole first of all, second of all, third of all, and talk about everything, about the individual that you know nothing about. I think that was totally inappropriate, and it lends, it takes credibility from his lesson. And concerning whether or not we went over his lesson, I didn't want to refute the part about contention and strife. I wanted to add to it. And so that's what we did. We added for the first hour plus added two, because when he went to bring out contention and strife, again, the message was skewed. And I did say that in my response. It didn't start from the beginning. It didn't look at, and if you listen to what I'm sharing, I'm sharing, yes, I agree that contention is strife, but by the work that I do, you have to look at the source of contention and strife. So we talked about Abraham and Lot. We talked about Israel in the wilderness. We talked about lack of resources. We spoke about lessons that you can learn, because again, right now, one would tune in and say, well, this is contentious and this is strifeful. What is the root cause of it? What's the issue? Right? And that's what I've always been concentrating on. And so I wanted to say that, yes, people who are tuning in may not know the backstory. And there was a lot that happened in the 2 weeks, and it was unacceptable. But like I said, concerning my position, a lot of stuff came towards me that wasn't warranted. As you heard the caller say, I didn't turn up, and from what I'm reading from what Sister Mayana said, because I haven't spoke to her, it was enumerating the spaces in which Josh, it can be perceived as an ad hominem attack. And that's what she did, went through all of the spaces in which unnecessarily we were called out of our name. So concerning this back and forth between male and female and this battle, we speak to males all the time. And so you have to look at the track record. If we speak to males over the last 3 seasons all the time, and it was not always smooth, but we were able to resolve it and come back to the table, then is it us? That's my question. And that was when I realized Sal didn't give me the benefit of the doubt that if I'm able to have a war come back to the table, if Brother Mercy calls in all the time, I'm hearing them out and having discussions with them and getting places, how then now does this fall squarely in my lap to finally say, listen, I'm going to speak out on this issue, and I'm limited or censored in the way in which I can say this is a concern. And I addressed it in only the way that I know how. And that's what happened, and it's on record. Thankfully, it is on record so that you can go and make your own decision, about what you feel about what you saw and what you heard.
I personally feel like where the problem lies is when it comes to awarded swordsman and Equete, all those brothers again, that wasn't a relationship challenge. It was, it was different style of, debate, if you want to put it that way. It was more of a sit at the table, let's talk. You know, we may disagree on some things, but it's a conversation piece. Whereas with this, you know, when it comes to the job situation, people taking it as, some people taking it as you know, criticism, or they could, you know, they're taking it a whole another way. And of course, you know, everybody has their own type of perception when it comes to critiquing some of these shows. And I think that's what the difference just comes. Let's go to the next person. For the 469-245 live. 469-245, you are live.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is Eva. I just wanted to say something that, and all you guys, I've listened to the conversation, and I think that it's going this way. Obviously, just like you were saying, and I think oftentimes when we join platforms, when we unite with, then sometimes it is like if you don't agree or are going with the vision, it needs to be, well, I even hate to say this word, it's true, rebellious. Like you're rebelling against me. And so then you have to wonder if the behavior, if the attitude, or if what is posted online it has to be communicated and it has to be being shared with one another and being communicated properly. But other besides that, I want to say, I appreciate it. But other than that, I would like to say,
you sound a little low. Sound kind of low.
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay. I'm going to say, Sister Mona, it's been an honor having you on my platform and sitting with you on this platform. Before I said a word, I heard you ladies speak. And it has empowered me and mobilized me to do the same. And as women speak in the community, we are constantly attacked. Like, you shouldn't say anything. You should be silent. You should be this. You should be that. That definitely happens. And so, going forward, I just like to say it's been an honor, you know, sitting with you, having these dialogues, having these conversations. It's been an honor to hear women speak and women actually be knowledgeable about the Bible and move that way. We don't have many opportunities and spaces for that. And so even that has been under attack in the last 2 weeks about whether we're doing the work or we're talking about certain things going on in our community. And so my hope is that you all can somehow come to a happy out of this, because what are we going to do without a woman voice? What are we going to do without women speaking in our community? And I know that people, you know, you want people to be in line with you, and I understand that sounds, you know, having a platform. You want people to be in line with you and what to say, but it's never that way. Even the people I'm closest to, we disagree on things, which is how you do so, and how you respect one another. And speaking from a woman who came from under a man's platform, what you expect is someone to protect you and speak up for you. And if they feel like you want, let's have a conversation, you know. So, shalom to all of you. I hope that this works itself out, that you can continue the good work in having both male and female representatives.
I appreciate your call. Mona, you can respond.
Hey, thank you for that. That was the voice of Sister Shika Chiba. Thank you for calling in. Let your voice be heard. And you know, I appreciate your sentiments. There are many people who have reached out who have been listening for a long time, have never said anything, and you don't know to what. Sometimes you labor and you think your labor is in vain, but then you have moments like this where the Most High helps you understand that, you know, you did your portion, and you know, if you do it with a clean heart and you know, good intentions, the Most High will bring the increase, you know. And so I just want the people to know that I'm not going to stop having conversations or stop having discussions. They will continue as they have, as Brother Sal brought to your attention. they have and will continue. They may not necessarily continue in the same capacity. Again, I don't shy away from having respectful male and female conversation, and that's why this particular last exchange was kind of shocking, and to see the responses, like you said, of the males on the platform that usually would have been that protective barrier, not stepping in and not saying anything, except for putting the onus back on, in this case, me. And so with that, I thought that was telling. For whatever the reason is, it was telling. And so I love all of y'all, man. You know what I mean? If I didn't, my children are here. I wouldn't dedicate a Monday night for umpteen nights in a row. There's a lot of back work that you don't see. There's a lot of green room information. There's a lot of me and Mayana chopping it up and seeing what are the needs of the people. She's mostly in the trenches, as she calls it, and she sees information or situations or topic that we need to address. And then finding men who are willing to talk about it respectfully. Like, that was a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of labor so that you can have this catalog. And just know that it was done and created in love. But I cannot be in confederacy at this point and just going back into my cubbyhole in my respective spaces, knowing that this type of stuff is happening where I am. Because in the same way, the thought that where I go, it reflects on the platform. What happens on the platform reflects on me. You see what I'm saying? And I have space out and agency outside of the platform. You see what I'm saying? And so I have to think about how what's happening and what's going on is reflecting on me and what it is that I'm trying to do. My family, we're business owners, we're business people. This is the internet. You know what I'm saying? This is the internet. This is not our little cubbyhole somewhere on Power Talk. This is to the world. And so you have to put on record where you stand. And I do not agree. Yeah, it's not Power Talk in the sense that you can just be closed off. This is to the world. You don't know who's listening. So I have to go on record by saying, no, I don't agree with abuse. I don't agree with cursing out people on the street corners. I don't agree with domestic abuse and child abuse. I don't agree with any of that stuff. And neither do I agree with a brother dragging his sisters because he didn't like what they said. So thank you so much, Sister Atiba, for calling in.
Family, we open it up to the phone lines. Once again, the number is 319-527-6239. Feel free to call in. And, this is farewell to the First Lady, Amuna Israel. First Lady to host the program and, bring a female element to Debate Talk Radio. As people know or may not know, I've received a lot of flack. I've fought for the ladies to be on this program. The ladies know about that. I still fight sometimes with people, who don't want to hear women speak, so to speak. So, but let's go to the phone lines. So, okay, let's go to 510-917. You're live. 510. Hey, hello. Can y'all hear me? Hey, what's going on? I can hear you. What's up? All right. Not much. This is Benny B. Just calling to chime in. Shalom to the sisters. Shalom to you too, South. I just wanted to call in and say just. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Shalom. We just said shalom.
Yeah, that's shalom. That's shalom. That's all. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just chiming in because I hear that you're leaving. I'm what you call a messianic, so to speak. I guess I think everybody's a messianic, but I believe in Yeshua HaMashiach. But I just think that it's kind of sad. You know what I mean? That it's kind of ending like this, especially how long y'all been hosting a platform on here. I think that you guys come with a lot of informative stuff. Might not agree on everything, but it's just sad to see that it comes to an end like this. Over some kind of. I think it's a misunderstanding because I think that when he did the lesson, I don't think he was really pointing at y'all, because I've never heard you guys do a show like some other people and just bashing the Messiah or bashing who we feel is the Messiah. So you guys did a whole lot of informative platforms. I was pretty honored to be on a panel with Sister Mayana, I think it was. With the roundtable about what happened with the MAGA students in DC. And,
I just want to say that, you know, family fight, family, you know, fight, and then they come back together again. You know what I'm saying? So I just really think that it's sad that it's coming down to this, because if even in Israel they were still together, even though they was fighting all the time. You know what I'm saying? Everybody didn't agree on everything. They had big fights and they came back together. You know what I'm saying? Some didn't, of course, but you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the majority. But you know, I just think that it's a real sad thing, because y'all had a lot to offer, and it's going to be a lot of people that's going to miss that. You know what I'm saying? So I just wish that you know, maybe y'all could, you know, get together, and it's probably past the point, but you know, prayerfully it's not. Y'all could get together with, you know, the people who you feel that offended you, and then, you know, talk to them. You know what I'm saying? But maybe behind the scenes, everybody don't need to hear about it. You know what I'm saying? But I think a lot of people gonna miss out on some of the things that y'all have to offer. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's kind of sad, you know. But that's all I had to say. And whatever y'all choose to do, and you know, shalom to y'all, and you know, may the Most High be with y'all.
Yeah, I appreciate that call. And like Ramona said, you know, it's not like the work's gonna stop. You know, plenty of people came by this program, and you know, like Lil Eagles, for example, you know, Shikari came with the program years ago, and you know, now he has a big huge camp out there on the west side. You know, just they gotta move on and do different things. You know, there's a lot of people that come through, and you know, they see the audience, you know, listen to on the show, and people like what they say. So he got. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there's a lot of people that come to the program, and you know, people like what they say, and they follow them, and they continue to work. So, you know, definitely all the links in the description box. Going to keep on, you know, checking out some of the bonus things and on some other shows and stuff like that. She does a lot of things out there. So, you know, keep following everything. Let's go to 470-572 your live.
Yeah, shalom, Mr. Sportsman. What's going on, family? How y'all doing? Shalom.
Brother of War. Where did they catch you from? I haven't heard you in a minute. What's going on?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm listening. I can't go down. Y'all know that. Where y'all going? You know, people need y'all. You left us.
You left? Yeah, you abandoned us, Brother of War.
I went underground. I went off the grid a little bit. You know,
right.
You know, yeah, y'all can't do that. You know, y'all like, you know, a lot of people, you know, like when we brought start up, okay, nah, so that was all. It took all this coal in the wall. No. Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, in the beginning, you know, with them, you know, like Mayana, like at first I didn't get her, but as I grew to know her, I realized, you know, you can't just tell them, both of them, you can't just tell them anything. These are studied sisters. And I admired that, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of men don't understand that and respect that. These are studied sisters. You just can't come up there and say something. And, you know, and there's a lot of sisters losing their houses because of that. They just sat back, shut up, allow things, and they know when their heart things went right, and they destroy. So, you need sisters like that. You're not going to come up there and say something that we know ain't accurate. They're going to stand up. They're not going to let you do that. So I don't know why brothers don't embrace that and understand that instead of you know, I don't know what happened. I didn't hear what happened. Call them names. I don't know all about that. But my thing is, I just hope, you know, you sisters don't go nowhere. You know, and you know, this is very needed. A lot of people listen to you sisters. Believe it or not. A lot of people. It's not even about us. It's about the people, you know. But that's all I want to say. All right.
Brother of War, I'm just here like I haven't heard you in so long. For those who don't know, man, listen to them early episodes. Brother of War and Sister Maya had to do some ironing out, and he's right. And once they caught their groove, and you know what I'm saying, the conversations with Ivy, they were spirited, you know, and we always got somewhere with the discussion. It's good to hear your voice, brother. See what I'm saying? It's call it all joy. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people are listening, and thank you, Benny B, for calling in as well. A lot of people are listening, and again, this is the community service to the nation. You understand? And hopefully, you've gotten something that can better your life. I kind of wanted to read something from Sister Angel because it really touched me. I'm not sure she really gonna call in, but she left it, and I wanted to read it. It seems like we're doing a whole show over here, which wasn't the wasn't the plan, but Southern Kid, he done hostage just over here, and the people are listening on the YouTube, so we just gonna go. Yes, Sister Angel, she really expressed, as Brother War and Brother Benny and some others, that it's disappointing, and I understand it, and that's why I read the scripts earlier. She spoke about it being an emotional day. Concerning me leaving and having the pleasure of listening to me for a couple of years on this particular platform, and that her favorite show was the Relationship Challenge. And you can read more about it. And she's been with me since Take Time to Heal, which is for 2 years straight. On Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock, I had a community closed conversation. So this was kind of a transition from that space, where it was a closed conversation with people. And that's where I got Ima Naami. She was over there, as well as Sister Aisha and many others, where we would have a confidential space in which to share our thoughts and process our pain. So this is nothing new for me. So it's from those spaces that Sister Angel Bowles met with me and the Left Project. She was one of them, as well as Tish. Shout out to Sister Tish, who was rocking through the Left Project and all the other things. And basically, she's just speaking to attest to the fact that no matter where I am, if the Spirit leads me to share, I'm going to share. And so it may not be in the capacity that we are used to, but trust and believe Sister Mayana also is, she's more of a writer and very readily available for the sisters to disseminate information and give them information. We are, because usually our names sound alike, so people say Imuna is Mayana and Mayana is Imuna. We do have different personalities, and we do in some spaces balance one another out as it relates to certain ministry, okay? And so I just want to say that, because sometimes people have confused Imuna and Mayana and Imuna, and you might not know who's talking. So I just wanted to say that. But I say that to say, I hear you, as the Most High leads. As the Most High leads. At this point, like I said, I do find, if we let certain things pass and we don't speak up about certain things, they will begin to eat at us. They will begin to erode us, internally, our soul. And one of those things is not allowing, for the sake of community, ourselves to be verbally abused by anyone or emotionally abused by anyone. And the behavior that I saw demonstrated by Josh is verbally abusive. I'm just going to call it what it is. You see what I'm saying? That's verbally abusive. And I have to take a stand. I have to take a stand. What's out? The mic is yours. Just let me know. Let the people say their piece. I mean, right now I'm already on live on the other side, so they're listening as well.
Okay. All right. So we got about 4 more people that press number 1. We're gonna go down the line. We get the number 319-527-6239. Let's go down the line. Hold on, wait. Hold on. Hey, War, any last things you want to say, War? Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I just want to bless the Lord and the sisters, and I just hope everything work out, man, and get those shows back on there. Hopefully I'll be back, and everything will be beautiful.
All right, brother. Take care of yourself.
Well, we look forward to definitely look forward to working with you again.
Yes.
All right, man. Appreciate your War. Long time, man. But I'm trying to call this brother. All right. Let's go to the next phone line. Let's go to. All right, you got a Skype call here. Skype call, you live.
Yeah, shalom, family. How y'all doing?
Hey, shalom. That's the line?
Yeah, that's me. What's that?
Shalom, brother. How you doing?
Shalom, Imuna. How you doing, sis?
Ani Tov. Ani Tova. Tov Meo. I'm good.
So from my perspective, it's I'll start first by saying it is a disappointing situation. And I'll tell you something just personal. So like when I first started calling in, like as a caller, and you was doing your thing with award and all of that. And one of the things I asked you was like, if you knew coming into this, like how do you find where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do? And your statement was something along the lines of like, find the vibe with her, move towards
vibration, and kind of get there, get planted and grow, right? So the first thing I will say is disappointment is, and no knock on you or nothing, but it's like there are those that do vibe with you, right? And so it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, why take that from the people, right? Because you made a very powerful statement of if you're going to say something on, if truth needs to be said, like it needs to be said, and I'm going to be uneasy if I don't say this. Like me, like I'm the rookie of the group, right? I'm the rookie of the host of the people that are part of the Debate Talk for You family. And so for me, it's like, it's kind of like the first lady or the mother is like dipping on us, right? And no matter what the situation is, it's like, let's get it popping, let's do the work, right? Learn that from you, even brothers like Josh, who I know y'all disagree with, Mayana, BA, Ashanti, Award, whatever it is, all the people we come to meet, the different personalities we come to meet on this platform. So, like, my first thing is like a level of disappointment. The second thing is like I do understand where you're coming from, right? We had a very good conversation today, just so I could, because I asked you specifically how you felt, what was going on with you, and doing that, I got a level of understanding. But I will say still a level of disappointment, because if we are family, families fight. It's just what happens. Families fight. But we still got work to do, right? If we talk about healing a nation or a community, then this is what we got to do. Otherwise, we just kind of being susceptible to the civil war that we see, right? And that's my personal tad bit. Now, I just want to comment a little bit on some of the things I heard. Number one, I don't think Sal or anybody else is trying to mute any of these systems. I've expressed that to you and Mayana. I tried to publicly stay out of this whole situation because I see people that I care about, that I talk to personally, and involved in this. So, I personally tried to stay out of it. But y'all know, from my perspective, ain't nobody trying to mute you or silence you. I don't think that was Sal's message or method. And for those that think that that's the case, I want to clear that up. Now, there was some lines drawn in the sand, but I'll say this: it was drawn to both parties, right? It was one of those things where it was like, okay, certain things can be done, and then that's it. And I know this because I've spoken to both parties, and I just, once again, a level of disappointment of it's like, there's been other stuff that has happened on this platform, right? And we all still stuck it out, you know what I'm saying? At least from what I've seen. And looking at us going into season 10 with all of the things that's happening in the world, I just assumed, in my naivety, that this would be a team that went forward and really put things out there that would take Debate Talk View to a whole nother level. The things that are on the horizon that I see that are possible, would really do wonders for the community. So, while I understand your mind is made up and your decision is made, I would ask all parties involved, whoever it is, to rethink some of the views that have been expressed on the situation. And I'll turn it over to her. And then finally, while I agree that you have every right to respond, stop saying we. Because the people that he was talking about, they don't represent y'all. The people that he was talking about are the people that I bang with, that I go to war with, or at or against, because they don't represent what we're trying to build. Whether I always agree with your perspective, whether I always agree with everything you put out, I believe that you do it classy, and I believe that you do it to the best of your ability, not to purposefully attack people's families, attack people's livelihoods, attack all of these various things. Right? That's not what y'all do. So definitely have the right to speak up. I'll defend your right to speak up to anybody. But don't clump yourself in with the people that Josh was talking about, because you don't represent that group. By all means, peer review, do whatever you feel led to do. But just as a favor to me, don't walk and leave with this impression that you were included in that group, because you're not. And that's out of love. That's not out of telling you what to do. That's out of love as a younger brother. Like, nah, that's not you. That's not what you represent. So I hate that you are leaving. I hate that it came down to this. But going forward, like Imanami gave some advice, I would say going forward, remember that the Messianic brothers and sisters also look at you. Right? Once again, may not always agree, but it's like, yo, we learn from you. So going forward, remember that. Think about that. Think about how it affects us as well as it affects your Tanak only family as well. Because once again, and I shout this to the rooftops, and I'll bang at whoever don't like it, Messianic, non-Messianic, whatever, when he was making that point, he wasn't talking about those that are trying to do the right thing, that are trying to walk this thing out correctly. And we all should stand up and yell at those people who are not doing this correctly. Whether you like how he did it or not, his point was clear. Those that are out here wilding and acting crazy are the problem. And I think that has got lost in all of this. Right? Those that are out here wilding and acting crazy and making us look like fools, those are the problems. And I don't believe that y'all were the problem. So I hate that this happened. I don't think this fight was meant for you. I think it was meant for those that are actually doing the wrong things. I think it's a shame that they didn't step up and answer the challenge. Hopefully in the future they will. And, you know, I got love for you, sis. If we can work together in the future, cool. If not, you know what I'm saying? I pray for yours, you pray for mine. But peace to you, and just, you know, walk with your head up. Shalom.
All right, shalom. That was the voice of Brother Anonymous. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Brother.
Yo, Mike is acting up. Can you guys?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, I'm thanking. Yeah, that was the voice of Brother Anonymous. I want to thank him for calling in. It reminded me of some things. I'm always very cognizant of who's listening and you know, where they potentially may be at. I understand that everybody has their different positions, you know, and what different angles in which they come to the people. And given that the fact that my angle is about healing, identifying the source of our trauma and looking at it from a soul perspective, I always try to keep balance in mind. And I think this conversation, the approach of the conversation was imbalanced. And as I said before, it was in a way that it did not meet its intended target. You know, I said it to you before, if you walk up on some place and you don't have a target, then you're going to, whatever you hit, that's what gets hit. And so many people don't understand why we pick this up. But I pick up many things to be the voice, as I said earlier, for those who just joined us, of those who may not have a voice or who have not yet found their voice, because we all have a voice, who may not find their voice. And somebody may say, Amuna, why are you picking up domestic violence? Are you domestically abused? And I will say no. But I do. Then somebody may say, well, I'm not talking about you. And I say, well, I see them. And until they can speak for themselves, I'm going to be the voice that helps to communicate that this needs to stop, that we need to look at this, that we need to evaluate this. There is no doubt that there are issues on both sides, but the presentation was one-sided. And because the presentation was one-sided, people who you didn't intend were the ones who said, you know what, this is an opportunity to discuss this. And if we miss opportunities such as this, then issues continue to persist in our community. And so what I did and what we did in this particular situation is true to the form of the tenure being here at Debate Talk for You. You know what I'm saying? This is what people are not realizing, that it's true to the form of the way in which many topics have been addressed. You see what I'm saying? And so it just happens that, and I'll read a comment from one of the brothers who said that in his estimation, we were the right people to answer this conversation. And in his estimation, the Most High has equipped us to do what it is that's happening. Sometimes we don't understand. Sometimes we do need a wake-up call. Sometimes we take things for granted. We take people for granted. And then when the probability of the person no longer being in the space, then we perk up and be like, whoa, where you going? Because we take people for granted and things for granted and situations for granted. So hopefully I'm not doing it. Like I said, as we spoke about earlier, and I don't really need to rehash, this wasn't something that I said, hey, this is what I'm going to do, y'all. I'm going to dip on Debate Talk for You. That's not what happened. But the way things came down the pipe, I had to make a choice and stand on principle. But thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that, Brother Anonymous. Brother Sal, is there any more people on the line?
Yeah, we got more people.
Come on in.
We got more people.
Come on in.
We got more. The number's 319-527-6239. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, let me go to the next caller real quick. But 347-303 alive. 34.
Hello, this is Aisha. Hey, Shalom, sis. How are you?
Shalom, sis.
I'm okay. All right. Considering I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, this might be out of left field. But I'll say this. Am I live on the air? Yes.
You are live. You are live.
To me personally, and I didn't hear everything that happened, but I will say that I think that being an Israelite woman in this modern era, and I'm sure even in our ancient era, is very difficult because you're kind of in a hypocritical state. In one aspect, you're Israelite, and you want to stand up for your people. You want to speak up at times when there's an opportunity to speak up when something needs to be said. But in the next instance, because you're a woman, sometimes it's not received well in our community. And I would say this for myself, it's almost like, well, speak when it's suitable to defend our brothers, but then if we disagree with something, no. And it to me, it doesn't seem righteous. I applaud you, Luna, for standing up for yourself. And even though you deal with healing, and I know I used to be on Take Time to Heal, I enjoyed it. I wish it would come back because I think a lot of our people need that space to heal and to talk about certain things, as well as other spaces and more counseling in Israel. However, just because you are the healer doesn't mean that when something happens and you're upset, you're not allowed to express that. Or you always have to take the higher road while someone else takes the lower road because you're the quote-unquote healer. We all need healing. We all have our things that piss us off or tease us off. And, sometimes the Most High allows certain things to happen so that we can move into bigger and better things, per se. This forum is unique because you have people from various aspects of Israel speaking out. However, I think we can all take and page from Maury Contriel, during this time when the incident happened, I think it was in Washington, D.C., they contacted Maury Contriel, and he didn't, even though he wasn't a member of the particular camp that was doing the protesting, he still managed to be interviewed by the Fox News. He didn't, go against his brothers. He didn't condemn some of the Messianic street camp brothers. However, he spoke of us as a nation of people who are coming from various perspectives, but he gives more towards our history and our ethnicity, even though our doctrine may differ. And
And I think we can all take a page from him, because even when the interviewer wanted to pigeonhole us and condemn, the brothers and try to get him to do the same thing, he didn't fall into that trap. Torah-based Israelites and Messianic Israelites do have a very different perspective. That can't be ignored. But that doesn't mean because we disagree, we have to attack one another. And attacking in social media forums in very petty ways that I've seen, is because we disagree. I've been on this forum, I was on the Messianic Divide, when it's just sometimes as a Torah-based Israelite showing a difference of opinion, I found some of the Messianic brothers and sisters take offense to that. So we can't contradict ourselves, excuse me. If we want an open forum, we have to be willing to listen to the other point of view. You can't get angry when the other point of view is exhibited. And I'm going to leave it there, David.
Aisha, that's Aisha from Hana Stream Under the Palm, and she's also a guest speaker here on Debate Talk for You. As she said, she actually spent all night at the hospital with one of our sisters. So thank you so much for calling and letting your voice be heard, even though you spent the night at the bedside of one of our sisters who's in the hospital. Or prayers for her as well. I just kind of wanted to give that insight and background for the listening audience who may not be familiar. That was the voice of Aisha, and she is recently a member of on Debate Talk for You. So thank you for calling in. Amuna, did you want to address any of the things that Aisha?
I mean, she spoke rightly. I heard her and I received what she's saying, and I would agree that if anything we take away from this, yes, you state your position. Nobody's not saying not to state your position. But at the same time, people come, it's choice. It says when Moshe is talking to the children of Israel in the wilderness, he says, blessing and curses before you this day. And then he says, choose ye life. You know what I'm saying? So he's telling you what he would want you to choose. But then again, you have the choice to make. And I think that's sometimes we step over the line of presenting information to where we want to wrangle people to the ground and try to make them choose the choice that we desire for them. And that now is encroaching upon the individual's free will. You have to serve the Most High because you desire to serve the Most High, because it's within you. You know what I'm saying? So I would agree that because someone doesn't agree with you, doesn't give you the right to deface that individual. It doesn't give you the right to come for, as he was saying about, Josh brought up in what his lesson, he was bringing up about contention and strife, but I would say it would have been helpful if it was balanced, right? And it was not balanced. And the reality is, first of all, this is what people do. This is what I mentioned before. This is a human characteristic, not an Israelite characteristic, a human characteristic. People feel the need to deface the individual or the thing, it's that they cannot have, or they could not win over, or they cannot manipulate for whatever reason. Then I have to bring down your property value. You see what I'm saying? So this is a human condition that it would be a beautiful thing for us to look at this and begin to understand strife. This is why I went into Abraham and went into all of these spaces to say, okay, what is the core of it? Discontentment, indifference, resentment, lack of resources, ungratefulness, all of these things that each and every one of us who are listening and who will be listening know that some space within there we have to work on within ourselves. We have to see if we're envious. We have to see if we're covetous. We have to see if we have a jealous mind. We have to go. There's so much to be done internally, because no matter what we say, we can try to force us together. But the only way that we're really going to be a cohesive group is if we're connected with Source, which is the Creator. And in order to do so, we have to be purged and cleansed. That means all of these the mentality has to be purged. And instead of trying to necessarily beat it out of everyone else, how about we start taking the beam out of our own eye and say, well, I'm talking about contention. Am I contentious? I'm talking about being covetous. Am I covetous? I'm talking about hatred. Do I hate? And if they're there, it's not to say, woe is me, I'm done for. It's to be honest and say, oh, boom, backside is true. It's there. Why am I so now? Most High search me, creating me a clean heart, this kind of stuff. And that will elevate us from just intellectually knowing this to becoming. So I would agree with Sister Aisha. Brother Sal, anyone else on the line?
me to go ahead and give the quote that you were referring to earlier?
Okay, sis, you can.
So the quote that she was reading from the comment section is the first comment, and it goes, Amuna and Mayana, you two have done an excellent job taking on this challenge, and in my opinion, both of you are the most qualified. I could hear a slight pushback from one of the brothers that called in, hoping you two would stay out of this, but the Most High has you two right where you belong. May the Most High continue to bless you, sisters, with health, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Shalom. This person goes on to make a completely separate comment saying, also, Sal, thank you for allowing your platform to be open to these discussions, and may the Most High bring healing to your body. Good to hear you are doing better. So, just to kind of, that was the comment that Amuna was thinking about, and when we hear the brother go on to say to Sal, listen, I'm glad that you let these sisters talk. Thank you for doing that, and for blessings on yourself. It was when the platform didn't have the same feeling about it as people were having about us doing it, that some of this kind of went left. Right, Amuna? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would say that it's fair to say that we did have like varying opinions. You had those who said this needed to be said. You can listen back to the tape. So we're not saying like, hey, Maya, you want to just cook up some drama here? No, there were people who was like, yo, this needed to be said. This needed to be addressed. There's an elephant in the room. This is an issue. You heard Chris call in, and it was used that Chris call in to say, listen, I'm guilty of this in certain spaces and times. You heard Devon say, yes, I agree, but this is the places that I don't agree. So it wasn't that everybody was saying, no, I totally disagree. What I disagreed with was not only the delivery, the inaccuracy of the delivery. Because it was riddled with misinformation, and it was kind of like a little bit of a propaganda campaign. They're savages, some type of birth of a nation type vibration where they're coming for us. Hide your kids, hide your children. I had to put that in there, a little joke. But I'm saying it was kind of like that. Like, ooh. And I'm like, what? Like, ain't nobody coming for you? I mean, if they are, you might want to talk about the specific person, because the average Israelite is trying to keep their head above water, whatever side you fall on. They trying to live out here. Why are you putting that mark on their back? And that's my contention. Why are we marking? We're already being marked by other people in other spaces who are looking from the outside. Why be so irresponsible? And I said it before, and I'll say it again. It's like saying you had a bad experience with a man or your husband, and the person divorces you. Now you go out to the community. I'm going to get a class here. I'm going to get a platform, and I'm going to say, all Israelite men are bad. All Israelite men don't go to work and stand on the street corner, and all they do is preach all day. That's what they do. And further than that, I'll say something like, and it's all those Messianics. Now, I know full and well that there's some Messianics who don't stand on the street corner. Then how y'all going to look at, and if I say 99% of y'all do, though? That's not true. That is not true. And that's my contention. It's not true. So why say that? Why not address who you have the problem with? It was said on the review. It was said when the lesson was going out, who you have the problem with. Talk to them. If they do not hear you when you talk to them, then you bring it to the public and say, listen, this is the case. But the reason why this particular issue is for those who are concerned, why are they doing it in public? Because of the nature of the way in which it was done in public. If you make a slanderous statement in a newspaper, you have to print a public, you have to retract it publicly. You can't be like, yeah, I whisper over to you, yo, my bad on that slanderous thing that I'm going to let stand in the newspaper. You know what I mean? You got to go, dear editor, you have a typo, you have an error right here. And that's pretty much the reason why it was done in the manner in which it was done, and in such a way in which you can follow along if you're actually listening point for point some of the things that was said and why I didn't agree with them, or why we found issue with these type of spaces. And like I said before, and I continue to say, this is just the culmination of, what it is. And as Sister I used to say, it may just be, we have come to this point and we just continue to grow from here and learn from here, and the work doesn't stop. So let's not think that the work is going to stop. The work will continue. But I'll give it back over to Brother Son.
All right, for those that's tuning in, we have a lot more callers, I see. Today's show is entitled Debate Talk for You, to you live. Yo, what's the word? This is Brother B.A.
Shalom, Brother B.A.
Shalom. I'm going to just give me a moment because I'm going to say a few things. I understand the whole concept. I understand everybody's view and their point. Now, I just want to say this before we go any further. And this is not directed at any of the sisters on the platform right now. This is not directed at nobody personally. But what I've been hearing, there was a few callers ago, there was a sister, I don't know who it was. There's this thing about, there's an issue with women speaking overall. Number one, who's ever painting that narrative as far as the Straight Talk for You is concerned, I am known to support the sisters to speak, period. I've caught hell, and I've caught a whole bunch of flack for standing up for the sisters to speak, because we need that space. What stood out to me was when on the Under Palm episode was when they did a special episode called Sacrificing Our Children to Moloch. And ever since then, I grew to love these two individuals despite our differences. But one thing about it, I've always respected their opinion, even though there have been times to where we have not agreed. And there have been times to where I've had to personally reach out to them behind the scenes and express my views. And if I've told them there's anything I've done wrong, if there's anything that I have said, I am open to correction. I don't have an ego. So, and a lot of people who know me personally, you know what it is. So I'm hoping that there isn't this narrative being pushed as if these sisters are being intimidated because they speak on this platform behind the scenes. That's not what's happening. Sal has called hell. Anonymous has called hell. I have called hell for standing up for these two sisters, including the various other sisters who have been on this program, including Sister Ashanti, who is also a sister, a regular that has a show and who teaches on this program, on this platform. So none of these sisters are being intimidated. None of them are being bullied. None of them are catching any flack from any of us on this platform for speaking. So this thing about women can't speak or there's a problem with women speaking, I think we're all adults, so we need to get past that now. That's not what's happening. And I just hope that whoever the individuals who are pushing this thing about women empowerment, the sisters don't have to have any type of empowerment because they are enlightened and they have their power and they speak their voice. So this thing about women being oppressed on Debate Talk for You, that's what I thought I heard. And if I'm wrong, I stand corrected, no problem. But from what I'm hearing is that and then I want to nip that in the bud before it becomes a big issue of Sal and letting the women speak. Sal has always let the women speak. He has no issue with it. I just want to say that. Number two, despite all this situation with the peer review and Josh teaching, I stand with Anonymous on this one. I told the sisters this myself, that it was that the lesson was not for them. It was not for anyone who conducts themselves properly. These two individuals, Mona and Mayana, have always conducted themselves on the air in a decent manner, to where they are always open, even though there have been times where people have crossed the line, but they have always been open to hear others speak their piece or whatever it may be. They don't fit the category of attacking New Testament on the air. They don't do that in their shows. They always want to come out and bring an open dialogue and hear different perspectives. There have been times to where it's got a little heated, and I can attest to that, because there was a time when the men came divide when I got a little passionate. What did I do? I fell back and apologized to the sisters, and it was good after that. But the thing is that the individuals who Josh was talking about, this is what it was for overall. For those people who don't know, I would suggest that you go back and you listen to the teaching that Josh taught. He specifically made a point, and I know the sisters, they have their view, and we talked about that, but I'm just telling people, go back and listen for yourself. And don't listen with my ears or anybody else's ears. Listen with your own ears and listen thoroughly. I say this all the time. Israel don't want to listen. They just want to cheerlead being said, and Mona leaving, I wish we could have did things a little different, and but she's made the choice to leave. It's unfortunate. And just another thing, Mayana is still on board. Ashanti is still on board. So no, not all the sisters are leaving, and there are various sisters who are coming onto the platform who will be speaking as well. So for those who think that all sisters are leaving, that's not happening either. Because I know people will take that and make it seem like Sal is going about dogging the sisters out, because that goes on in Israel. Things get taken out of context and it goes way overboard. So with that being said, I'm done, and y'all have a good night. Are you going to respond? Yes.
Well, thank you for that. That was the voice of Brother B.A. Ben Abraham. He let us know your thoughts. And as he says, I would implore you to go back and listen if you are confused, if you came in the middle of this conversation, not sure what in the world is going on. Feel free to go back and listen to first the class lesson that was given about 2 weeks ago, and then go ahead and listen to the response, and make sure you read the comments. Make sure you do your diligent inquiry. And as he said, as it always says on Debate Talk, for you, get your pens and pads, and make your own decision. So thank you for that, Brother B.A. Sal, do we have any more callers?
You're just trying to get my mic together. All right, I'm good now. Y'all can hear me?
Yeah. Okay, we can hear you.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next caller. 78497, you're live.
Hello, how you doing? This is Mario.
Mario, what's going on?
Hello, Mario.
This was the thing I'm thinking about this. Just had a couple of things, of course, it's a sad day for everybody here that should be Sister Luna. I just wanted to say, of course, thank you. You're the one who actually, y'all the ones who actually allowed me to come on. Y'all the first program that I actually came on and did when we did the sheep symbol code, Wolves and Sheep Clothing, and the leaders of Israel. Well, I just want to thank y'all. Y'all were one of the ones that I've actually tuned in to today talk to you, to actually listen to me and my issues, just sit down and just listen to y'all. That's guess we don't have to go back and just go through all the other segments that y'all did and just listen to it to kind of keep that, process going with us. But it was definitely blessing to hear your voice and stuff onto the radio, onto Debate Talk, and that how everything plays out. Definitely understand why everything is happening, just like a few cool about the date, the trial for certain reasons, that I would say the exact same reasons, we felt that there's certain contention that y'all didn't want to be in that space or that type of area, that type of environment. Y'all didn't want to feel that tension or anything like that, because that's not what we're supposed to be about, or whatsoever. I'm kind of on the same route, but at the same time, you definitely have to call the elephant out in the room at times. But just hopefully, it goes, we can get better as a nation. We're going back with military view and also child speech and stuff like that. But the thing I have to agree with this, the saying that it should have been balanced. Because on both sides of this last thing, there's potential on both sides. There's good on the other side. I'm friends with a few millionaires like that. I would just respect what they believe in and everything like that. Of course, I did a lesson on here, well, somewhat of a debate, but I did it more of a lesson as far as all the Old Testament, everything in the Old Testament fulfilled. There was a couple of people that came on that tried to put Yeshua into the mix, and I even said to myself that, no, I'm not even going to try to, I'm follow him in the sense of that's what's going to make your life better or anything like that. But yes, there are times where, we're going to have to just pull out and disagree to disagree and just go our separate ways. And so I definitely understand why you are doing what you have to do. I feel this was me right for you because at the end of the day, it's how you're going to feel about yourself. I understand sort of like, are you going to be in peace with yourself or what's going on when the moment you feel that somebody's taking your peace away from you, you have to pull out. That's for your strategy. That's where infancy comes from. When somebody takes you out of your peace or when you don't feel no longer in peace or anything like that. So, but I just want to applaud you and say that you did a very well good job. I told our fellow for even allowing the sister to come on and speak because that's pretty much what my mission is with Israel, is to make sure that my sister's voice are being heard, because like Brother Anonymous says, like that seed in Israel right now. Sorry, but Brother D.A. said that that seed in Israel right now that so many people are trying to shut this out and saying they can't talk when wisdom is they're pretty much the embodiment of wisdom. Wisdom Kabbalah is a feminine aspect. That's something that's embedded into women. So many people in Israel, or so many stories that are in the scriptures speak about women giving knowledge. Like every single story that we hear about of a sister is usually dealing with knowledge, wisdom, understanding, or anything like that. You have like sisters like Deborah, Esther, Haddah, so many that just comes out and they just give them wisdom and stuff like that. We can't shut them out. So I just want to say I am subscribed to your channel and stuff like that. So this won't be the last that I'll be hearing from you. So I'm thankful for that. But I just also want to say just thank you for everything that you did for Debate Talk Radio. Shalom. All right, Shalom, you want to respond?
Thank you for that. For those who are listening, that was the voice of Brother Mariel. He has come on certain panels and let his voice be heard. So I want to thank you for your participation and your willingness. I drop it in the box and you say you're there and you come up and you let your thoughts be heard. And so I want to thank you so much for your words and your encouragement. And as he said, he shares a lot of things that are practical and we can learn from if we apply them to our lives. And so definitely it was good hearing from you, Brother Mariel.
All right, so let's go to the next caller. Right now it's about 10:17. I guess we're going to try to wrap it up like around 10:30, pretty much. Let's get to the callers. Let's get as much callers as possible. Let's see. Let's go to 720-352. You're live.
Shalom, Sal. Shalom, ladies. This is Davon.
Shalom.
All praise to the Most High.
Shalom, Brother Davon. What's good?
Shalom. What's good? Shalom. Sure, I want to piggyback. I know y'all got a lot of callers. I won't be too long. I know y'all trying to get to y'all's other platform. I definitely know for sure that the both ladies are qualified to address any and all topics. You know what I'm saying? As far as I know, as much information that they've covered over the years. They actually had me on their show back in the day when I first came to Debate Talk for You, and I reached out to them to put them on the New Testament trial just because of their qualifications. So I definitely respect them. I definitely know that they're teachers, they're nurturers, they listen, and they do their homework. I'm just going to put it like that. You know what I'm saying? They definitely do their homework. So I don't think they came into this with no ill will as far as the challenge goes. And I think the challenge was two sides. The first part, is from what I heard, was the foul language being addressed. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Nobody needs to talk bad about nobody and, wish harm on people for having disagreements. You know what I'm saying? So I have to agree with that. But I definitely think the other half of the challenge was not a challenge at all. I felt it was a complaint of all y'all do is bash JC. Well, we see him as an idol. I mean, let's just be real. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way we see it on the Tanak side. or a false God, however you want to see that. So to say stop doing that is not a challenge, but a complaint. This is debate talk. If Sal was known for only giving people a chance to get on here and give sermons, then and somebody came on here only bashing, in the New Testament, then you would have a point. But this is debate talk. It's built on debate and contention and argument. So, I want to read 2 scriptures. This is Isaiah 27:9. By this, therefore, shall the iniquity of Jacob be purged, and this is all the fruit to take away his sin. When he maketh all the stones of the altar as soft stones that are beaten thunder, the groves and the images shall not stand up. And the second is 2 Kings 9:22. When Joram saw Jehu, he asked, have you come in peace, Jehu? How can there be peace, Jehu replied, as long as all the idolatry and witchcraft of their mother Jezebel abound. So as long as the New Testament people teach that the New Testament is a continuation of the Tanak, then we're going to go after your New Testament. Because the way it was put that, all we do is bash that, well, we see it as a problem. If y'all don't want us to talk about the New Testament, stop teaching in the New Testament that the Tanakh is a fulfillment of it. We see those as lies, which brings the contention, which brings the debate. So if you don't want to be provoked, don't provoke us. So it's a two-sided street. You know what I'm saying? It's a two-way street. So I get the foul language, the insult, the personal attack. I don't do those things. I don't make videos about people. I don't personally attack anybody. But I do go after the New Testament because I see it as idolatry. So I don't see the other half of the challenge was a challenge. I see it as a complaint of you beating up on my book and my God. Well, I see that as an idol. So, I reject the actual Tanakh challenge. And I do accept the challenge as far as to continue not to insult people and call them out their names and stuff like that, because I don't get down like that. Anybody has heard me in all my debates, anytime I've been on the South Show, I don't get down like that. So as far as back to I think this whole thing is sparked on the way it was presented and the way it was addressed. I thought it was addressed fair. They brought quotes to the table. Like when somebody called in earlier and tried to say Mayana was being mean, he didn't quote her being mean. He actually read what she said. He just took it as she was being mean. And this is one of the problems of reading things and not having a voice behind it. Everybody knows that they read a text or something and perceived it as the funky text, but the other person didn't have those intentions behind it. It's how you probably wanted it to read it based on who you thought you was addressing, knowing that they will respond in a certain kind of way. So yes, things get lost in translation, and perception is everything. I get that. But at the end of the day, I wish Amuna well. I know she's gonna do her thing. She's been doing her thing. She was gonna be a part of our trial. I don't know how that's gonna work out now, but she's definitely an honorary member. If she still wants to get down, we'll discuss that later. But I definitely don't think that this issue was addressed in any type of foul manner. I thought they were professional. They brought evidence to the table. They didn't make up nothing. They gave anybody an opportunity to call in, and it sounds like everybody called in on the defense. The person who actually gave a lesson, I guess he's going to wait till it's his turn to have the floor again instead of calling in and addressing these things. Which he has his right. That's cool. Whatever. But I really don't think that this actually was a challenge. If he just wanted to talk about people, being foul to each other, completely agree with him, 100%. We don't have no reason to be foul with each other. We deal with enough stuff in our life on a daily basis. But the other part of the challenge is that we can't teach Torah, and all we do is bash JC. Well, yeah, we can't teach Torah. I personally teach Torah classes without bringing up JC to the people that I deal with in many other platforms, but not on this platform, because this is a debate talk. So this is debate talk. Go look up what a debate is. You're not agreeing with nobody. It's why you're debating them. So if you want a Christian sermon, go read Matthew, the Sermon on the Mount. But if you want, and we can even ask Sal. Matter of fact, let's ask Sal. Sal, what gets the most views?
the high profile.
Everybody know the drama and the debate.
You see what I'm saying? So for you to come on here and be like, that's all you want to hear, go somewhere else. If you don't want to hear it, don't tune in. But we bring the fire because it's contention. And I just read 2 scriptures. I gave my 2 witnesses of why we bang on idols. So that's what we do. If you don't like it, that's too bad. You know what I'm saying? And that's not all we teach. That's all we teach on this platform. Okay, let's get that real straight. On this platform. You don't know what we do in our own communities. You don't know who we're teaching and what we're teaching. On this platform, Sal knows the titles when we give him before he puts them up there and he invites us on the show. He knows it's going to be a problem with people who don't like it. But guess what? He don't say, no, Davon, you can't teach that. You're going to hurt some feelings. You're going to upset somebody. Nope. Next time show up. You just heard him say, right. So if you don't like it, that's your problem. That's not a challenge. Stop complaining. So with that being said, shalom to the sisters. We'll chat offline. Peace to you, Sal. I'll pray for the Most High. Shalom.
Shalom. And
I'm not sure if I could be heard, or not sure if Sal's mic dropped. Brother Sal, are you there?
I can hear you on your Sal.
I'm back.
Thank you for that. That was the voice of Brother Davon Mays, letting his voice be heard on the topic, reiterating some things he said before. And so definitely thank you, brother, for calling in and letting your voice be heard. I know we are almost at the 10:30 mark, and we do have Sister Esther who's on the phone as well. So I want everybody to have an opportunity to get through. So you can open up the phone line again.
Oh, we got a whole lot of callers, y'all. You got a whole lot. You have a number or a specific number? The first 3?
All right. Sister Esther, put your first 3, only the first 3. But in the meantime, Sal, you can open up another line.
All right. Let's go to 732-407. You're live.
Shalom, how you doing? This is Esther.
All right, there you go. That's her. What's going on, sis?
I'm doing okay. And first of all, let me acknowledge Sal. You sound good. You sound strong, my brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You sound strong. I just want to, say something really quick, family. I'm not going to get into all that other stuff that was discussed tonight. I just want to talk personally about my sister Amona, okay? Because I support her in deed and in action, and I want to talk about Mayana too, because they are one of the few that are able to cross that line into the Messianic community. And I'm Messianic, and they've never at any time made me feel uncomfortable about anything. And I can reach out to my sisters and I can talk to them. And they will give me an honest response, a true response. I know one time Mayana had to get a little tough with me, but you know what? It made me respect her even more. Because if my sisters can, if I can talk to them in the good times and in the bad times, and if I can get correction from them, it makes me love them even more, because it lets me know that they truly love me and they truly have my back. And like I said before, I am Messianic. And they've never beat down on me. Okay? And I talk to them. I also too want to say, Mona, remember when I was sick and I made the post?
Okay.
What's the first thing you did? You reached out to me.
Okay.
You reached out to me, sis, and that meant so much to me when you reached out to me. And one of the things I spoke to you about was getting your food.
We working on it. We working on it.
And so maybe we put it up there on the Hebrew Food Network. And it's been a lot to me, sis, because I don't know too many people who are Tanakh only, or even Messianic, who would have done what you did. And it spoke volume to your character. And I understand you, sis, taking your stand. But at the same time, my sister, I'm going to miss you. I know you got other platforms you're going to, but this was special, and I'm going to miss you. And I got to keep it real and let you know that I am going to miss you. I'm going to miss hearing that voice. Even though I know I'm going to hear it on other platforms, this platform was special. And I appreciated the work that all of you did do on this one platform that you have. Okay? And I want you to know that, and I want the listening audience to hear that. These are two sisters who have the ability to cross the line where very few cannot do it. And I appreciate them and I respect them, and they never made me feel beat up on or made me feel unloved. They always expressed love to me, and they concerned and cared for me. And I just wanted that to be known of my two sisters because I got their back. And Sal, I'm glad to hear you sounding strong. Keep it up, my brother. Maybe lift up a few pounds and weight.
Thank you so much. Shalom to you. That was the voice of Sister Esther, always bringing the energy to the room. Thank you so much for sharing. Much love.
All right, being that it's 10:30, what I'm gonna do? So I'm gonna make it a time for only quick comments. Being that we got some more phone calls on the line, just quick comments, maybe like 2 minutes of saying something, y'all. I'm trying to get as much people as possible. You know, I got some things to do in the morning. So let's go to, let's see, quick comments, y'all. 916-747, you're live.
Hey, Sal.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. Okay, 2 minutes. Hold on. Let me get my stuff adjusted. My dog jumped on me and everything. Hold on. All right, can y'all hear me?
Okay, good.
All right, this is Sister Ashanti. How you doing? Good morning. How you doing, Mayana? How you doing, Sharon?
Hey, Shalom, sister. How you doing?
I'm cool. This is good. Because I got to go back and have a conversation, you know. Home life be popping. But I felt compelled to call in to say, Luna, Mayana, as the person who was on Under the Palm, one of the main people, not one of the main people, but one of the people on Under the Palm, and then sometimes on the Relationship Challenge. Luna and Mayana, you've done a good job with bringing out some of the topics, communicating, and bringing out things that we need to do to reconcile male and female relationships. So I want to say congratulations on that. I want to say farewell to you from the Debate Talk platform. Of course, you're going to be doing the continued work, you know, on your Yummy Cottage, YouTube, Solonomics, etc. Got a few things going on, and you could be commendable for that. I do want to say that, you know, I'm on the Big Talk View as a woman, and this platform has allowed the feminine principle to speak very loud, very clear. Even I come on and teach, and I'm bringing lessons that really shake up the paradigm, especially what's been taught to us in society about females for the last 2,000 years. And I'm pretty much bringing some clarification of, you know, we misinterpreted scripture. So, you know, continue to do the work. Love you. Just kind of different, but I do want to say lastly, this whole disagreement on whatever we have going on, at the end of the day, none of us really absolutely know. This is all a belief. This is all a faith. And let's continue to try to love one another, try to get our families right and tight, keep our families right and tight, try to teach our children, try to, you know, continue to grow economically, financially literate, learn how to grow and raise food, learn how to survive in this lifetime. And pretty much what we're trying to do is rehearse to be in the kingdom, right? We're trying to rehearse to be in the kingdom. So
With that being said, I don't have much else to say. I want to say, shalom, shalom, malatov. Keep up the good work, and
Thank you so much for that. That was the voice of Sister Ashanti. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you for calling in, letting your voice be heard. Much love to the family and everyone who's called in. Sister Marty, you want to say something? All right, thank you for that, Brother Sal. I believe Brother Elon is on the line, a 509 number. You can open up the line if you see that. And yeah, we're going to keep rocking and rolling. The babies are singing outside the door, by the way, so you know, they're about to roll on you. But go ahead.
Shalom. How's everyone doing?
Hey, Shalom, brother. How you doing?
Oh, man, get in there, sis. And this is Mayana. I'm glad to hear y'all's voices once again. And sounds great to hear your voice live and in person. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm glad everything is working with that, working health-wise with you. And I wasn't able to listen to the entire discourse today, but I did pick up on some things from the past few weeks, and I definitely want to commend the sisters specifically for tackling the issues that they have tackled together when people have been silent, not wanting to talk about some of these hot button issues. Every Monday, day in and day out, whether they had one viewer or 200, whatever the topic was, it was always something to provoke thought. And for that, I am very grateful. I think I was on one of the shows a few months back as well, and I definitely appreciate being invited onto the panel with you guys. And it seems getting back to more of the issue surrounding all of these events that are taking place. That Sal knows very, very well, and I'm sure the sisters know, I do not actually go out and seek debate for the most part. I think I've issued maybe one challenge. And at any rate, the amount of people who come to debate me, they usually run because I think I do bring a different perspective than what some of previous teachers have labeled Tanak only as. And so when I come with intelligence and when I come with respect, that is something certain folks on the other side of the aisle are not used to. And so I hope what I can do is continue to bring that level of calmness to the situation, because we don't always have to be, on our toes, ready to fight at every single whim. And I think the sisters have done a very, very good job at bringing the conversation, bringing it down a peg or two to really be sensible with a lot of these issues. And I didn't know Sister Luna very well, but I've gotten to know her over the past few months, getting ready for the trial and things. And she brings fire. She just has a way to teach that no one else really has got. And there's a lot of misogyny on sometimes both sides of the aisle, and she's being able to pierce through all of that. And with that, I am, again, very, very grateful because you're a voice for women, modest women who are trying to do this thing the correct way. And that's about all I wanted to say, y'all. I love y'all, and hopefully, as we go through the next chapter of this, of our apologetics, of our outreach, of this walk, I really hope that we'll be able to really come to grips and settle and what's the word? Just come together as a community more so. And I think what you guys have done has more than started that process. So thanks again, and Sal, I'll be talking to you soon.
You know who I'm trying to get at. So, you know who I'm trying to get at. So let's get it in. But love y'all. Love all. Shalom Aleichem, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Total Shalom Lakar. That was the voice of Brother Elion. Thank you for calling in, letting your voice be heard and everything that you've said. I'll definitely go back and listen to all of this and, take down what I can take down, learn from what I learned from. I believe we have one more call, and then I'm going to give it over to Sister Mayana, who wants to say some words. So thank everybody for sticking with us. Thank everybody for your patience, your outpouring of support, your rebuke, you know what I mean? All that nice good stuff. So we're going to go to the last call, and then we're going to go to Sister Mayana.
All right, let's see, 859-312. 859-312. 859, you hear me? 859-312. Are you there? All right. Going once. Going twice. All right, better move on.
What?
Skype caller, you live? Yeah, shalom. I'm back at A9. I was praying. I was hoping to see. I asked most times if folks get through, then I'm gonna say this. If not, then I'll let it ride. You know what I'm gonna say? Forget it. I love Brother Davon, right? Davon just called in. Davon knows I love him. We've had our balances, our battles, and everything in the past. But he represents, in my opinion, what this issue is. And I'm just gonna be straight up. See, while the rest of y'all get to go back and do y'all thing, this really affects the Bay Talk view. Right? Everybody that's a host on this or that deals with this, we talk to Sal on the daily. Some of us weekly, most of us daily. Prepping shows, talking to people, interviewing people. And while, yes, this is the Bay Talk show, it also teaches lessons. And while many may agree or disagree with the challenge that was put out, the challenge was kind of clear, right? It was just simply not change what you teach, not change who you are, but just give us a lesson that doesn't include bashing Messiah, that doesn't include calling us names, that doesn't include certain things. And so Davon did give credit for the first part. Yeah, we don't need to have foul language, you don't need to have this. But the second part of that is, let me ask you this. If you really believe me, Anon, a strong believer in this word, right? That I'm wrong and I'm in idolatry. You're going to win me over by calling me an idolater? That's what's going to win me over? That's folly. And that's the point that he was making. Not stop what you're doing always, but just for one time, or maybe even two times, give us something on this platform we can see it. But instead, it's no, I'm not going to do it. Forget it. Don't worry about it. And that's supposed to bridge the gap, right? That's my issue. So the other thing I heard was, why aren't people calling out names? So I gave you one. I'll give you another. Chris Harris. I love the brother. He's repented on things that he's done, but he's done a lot to make that lesson necessary. A brother like Rob Rack or Judah Nazira, who purposefully said he was happy that Sal got sick. That's the type of reason that made that lesson happen. So yes, these sisters were very qualified to get up and do what they did. Not knocking that at all. But at some point in time, we also have to look at the people who are doing the problem, who are the problem. Not telling Davon not to teach what he teaches, but just for one time show us that you can teach something else. So we can come sit to the table. And I'm saying this because I've talked to all of these brothers one-on-one in private several times, and they'll admit that. So I'm not just sitting here talking out the side of my neck. So when I see somebody who I consider to be an asset, which is Imuna, and I don't care who likes it, don't like it, she was an asset. Leaving, saying, oh, I'm out because of whatever. I wish that we would have had the time to sit down and say, hey, these are the problems, these are the people we talk about, not trying to put them on blast and embarrass them, because I'm not trying to embarrass the brothers to put them on blast. But since it came up, because Marielle wanted to hear names, we wasn't talking about you, or Josh wasn't talking about you, Marielle. It's certain people that were being spoken about. But the brother was actually trying not to just say, boom, I'm going to shoot at these people. He put a broad statement. Didn't like that. You have the right to respond to that. But the point that I'm making is when people are pleading to you to say, hey, for once, stop attacking us. It does make us feel attacked when you say certain things. And there is no decorum, there is no acceptance for that. But then, yeah, like the brother came out and did what he did. So I would hope that in the future, those of you that are guilty of this, you realize that this is the type of thing that you cause. Like it, love it, really don't care. That's where I'm at with it. Because I love these sisters. I love the other brother that's involved with it. So for those of you that feel like it's not that big of a deal, yo, it's serious. Sometimes you do need to look in the mirror on both sides and say, you know what, I probably shouldn't present this that way. Probably shouldn't come at it that way. Or maybe shouldn't come at it a little different. Because I know that that's what these sisters do, and that's what I do. That's what I try to do. So just in the future, I'm asking for both sides to be transparent and also be honest. When you see people doing wrong on both sides of the aisle, call them out and let them know stop. Because if we really are trying to build a nation, which I'm really starting to question with a lot of people, but if we are really trying to build it, the way that we're going about it right now on certain sides, that's not it. So shalom to the sisters. Lala Tov. I wish you all the best, endeavors, Mayana and Imona. I know Mayana stand, but I know Mayana stand, but to Sister Imona, you know what I'm saying? I wish you all the best in your endeavors. To anybody thinking that we don't want to hear women talk, and you go fly a kite. Because you know we love our sisters. I can't speak for every other brother, but we love our sisters. So, shalom, Lala Tov. It is what it is. Peace. I appreciate you, Cole.
Came. That's the voice of Brother Anonymous. There's so much to go into, but we are almost at the 11 o'clock hour. And I believe we have Chris on the line before we go to Sister Mayana. So, Brother Sal 813, I believe that's Brother Chris.
All right, we're going to switch forward. Okay. Yeah, we got these calls ain't going to stop us. Yeah, here we go. We got more people too, other than Chris. 813.
But before Chris goes, Brother, I'm Sal. After Chris goes, I did say Mayana, so we're going to try to get Mayana in there before it spirals out of control. So we're going to go to Chris, then we're going to go to Mayana, then we're going to go back to the phone lines if that's all right. All right, so Chris, the mic is yours.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hi, Sister Mona, Sister Mayana, Sal Showtime, what's going on? How's everybody doing?
We are right.
Yes, it is sad to see Sister Mona leaving the platform, but she's not leaving in my eyes because I'll continue to seek her counsel, which is very wise counsel. Her, Brother Alon, Sister Mayana, they have all helped me to remain calm when I hear nonsense. And once again, I'm just going to be honest. I hear a witch hunt going on. And the witch hunt this is what we deal with when we're dealing with Messianic frailty. And I won't allow people to attack Davon Mays. Davon Mays, he holds himself at a high standard. And his bar is very high. He does not insult anyone. He's been on a debate talk radio. And guess what? He did almost 6 lessons. 6 lessons, and he's never insulted anybody, nor has he ever attacked anybody. He attacks the subject. And if you guys don't like it, that's the point of Debate Talk to You Radio. Remember, it's not called agree. It's not called agree with one another talk to you radio. It's called Debate Talk. Davon is very passionate about this. I too am very passionate about this. As a matter of fact, when Josh issued the challenge, I sent Josh a text message. As a matter of fact, I'm sorry, Sal, but this must be done. I sent him a text message and I said, Tanak challenge accepted. But unfortunately, you cannot set the condition of the way we debate or the way we give our lessons. We look at the New Testament as false, as the creation of the Pytho-Flavian family. We look at it as human upon sacrifice to redeem for our sins as an abomination. As a matter of fact, Josh, I would love for you to do a lesson on why human sacrifice is an abomination to the Most High. And can you please show me human sacrifices atoning for the sins of people and giving them salvation? Because that's what the entire New Testament is predicated upon. And our Creator has already said that it is an abomination to him. And according to the covenant that he made with the sons of David of his line, he would not do that if they remain righteous. They would sit on that throne. And he did not do that. So this is why we go after the book and show people these things. And I have turned many people and got them out of this book. Have I done things in the past? Yes, I have. You're right. But I won't allow anyone to attack Davon Mays because he has held himself at a very high standard. It's got to stop there because you guys have not looked in the mirror. And I'm going to show it to you right now. Has Josh from ADT, in fact, taken down that lesson on Judah Nazura being a homosexual on his channel? No, he has not, because it's still up there. It gets his channel views now, don't it? So even the Christ of the New Testament has said, pull the beam out your own eye before you go witch hunting against us. It's just that simple. Isaiah 27:9 speaks volumes. I can step on all day, and I do not see the Most High speaking at all in that book, and I dare a Messianic to come at me with Matthew 3, because I will show you right there on those pyramid texts and on the coffin text where that is said. You spoke together. Don't play with me. But do not attack Davon Mays. You can attack me, you can attack Judah Nazura, but you will not attack Davon Mays, Brother Alon, nor these two sisters. They were well within their right to do and say what they said, because he said anyone can attack it. And the brother KC, I read that message, and I would like to just read that real fast out, and I'll let it go. I want to read this message because we see this messianic frailty going on here on the platform right now, and I'm not trying to cause contention, but since it came up, I want to read it. And this is what it says right here. He came in, he said, where's the answer to the challenge? Hands over the face. Can I get a review on the information he brought forth from the Tanak? Sister Mayana clearly said, good morning. The information Josh brought forth was addressed several times. You can find it by pressing play. That's all she said. And then when she addressed that, he begins to get frustrated. Once again, messianic frailty, and he begins to get upset. He's done that to me in the it's nothing. They showed Josh the mirror. Telling the host to hang up on a brother such as Mariel was uncalled for. Josh, you even had Sal hang up the phone on, with his name, on Davon, when Davon was trying to talk to you. So you did not give the conclusion of the whole matter. Instead, you insulted the people who took their time out to call you during your lesson. I have to teach the way to teach, and I do not teach like I'm in a Christian church. I bring a flame, and I'm going to burn this book down, whether you like it or not. And Anonymous, it will suit you best. Please stop mentioning my name, because I have not mentioned yours. I've apologized on this platform, and I'll continue to uphold myself in the best respect for this platform and represent it the best way that I can, the same way that I'm doing Solar Vision. I no longer deal with Judah Nazura. And the worst thing I probably ever did was act that way. Because when you hang around people with these spirits on them, these spirits will jump on you. Be more like David and less like Saul. So I've given more Tanak than I probably ever have right now. I can stand up for myself. But please, don't. The kettle cannot call the pot black. And you're throwing stones in the glass house. Tell your master, your rabbi, your more, take that video down of Judah Nazura, calling him a homosexual. He may be a lot of things, but that's one thing that brother is not. And whatever goes on between him and everybody else, that you can condemn that. But your Moray himself has that video on his page. Shame on you. And shame on everybody at ADT calling up here addressing these the way they have. They stood up for the Tanak only community and for the Israelite community. And they held themselves in great regard. With that being said, hallelujah, we don't need your book. It was an attack on the Torah only community, and we do not teach like we are in a Christian Sunday church sermon. No need for it. Because Elijah didn't do it, Isaiah didn't do it, Jeremiah didn't do it, none of our prophets did it. They did it according to thus saying God, whether you wanted to hear the message or not. With that being said, peace to everybody. Have a great night. Peace to the Double Dragon Davon Mays. Peace to my two beloved sisters who will continue to remain in contact. And Sister Luna is not going anywhere because I will continue to seek her counsel. Hallelujah.
All right, yeah. Woo. Yeah, I'm gonna need a drink of water. Thank you for that. That was the voice of Brother Chris Harris calling in. I'm gonna drink my water right now. I'm gonna give the phone over to Sister Mayana so she can say a piece. We like sprinting up to the 11 o'clock hour. I don't know how much time we have. So Sister Mayana, Mike is yours.
Yeah, well, I know there's a call in, because I'm going to say this really quick. I want to confirm and affirm that Yes Debate Talk for You has been a wonderful platform and has allowed for the sisters and the feminine principle to be represented. And I've been very proud to serve on this platform to the community. I've heard the brothers assert that Mayana is definitely staying. I want to be clear that in the conversation that I had with them, that I stated that I would be paying attention to how I was going to be treated going forward, and that I was taking all those things into consideration. And I think many of you who listened in have heard some things, and the way that I was addressed and represented and misrepresented several times so far. So I can't say with any confidence that I feel comfortable. So I just kind of want to say that I did want to first preface that with that's not a reflection on the history of Debate Talk for You. Historically, Sa has been very respectful, very protective, very encouraging, and some of the things that I'm hearing being allowed to be said, not just in the comment section, but not on the calls to me, knowing that it's false and knowing that I'm concerned. So I just want to be the one to say that first and foremost. So you heard that from me. There's no surprise. Thank you for giving me that, Amuna.
All right, thank you for that. That was the voice.
And for the record, that's why we have you here to address it. Whatever call, and I'm glad you're here so you can address it. That's what we're here for. Yeah.
Right, that's the voice of Sister Mayana. Brother Sal, 720. I believe that's Brother Davon, 720. If he's on the line, he requested to be able to say his last piece before we go ahead and close out the show.
Listen, I gotta get out of here. So we're gonna take that last one. Right. 720. I have to pretty much some last words. Yeah.
All right, right on. Thanks for letting me say some things. The fact that I was just called out that I represent the problem now. If I represented the problem and I read two scriptures to give my position, you represent exactly why we come at the New Testament. Just what you can at, I'm going even harder on the New Testament. Again, this is not a challenge. This was a complaint. You beating up our book. You coming for us. I don't ever remember calling your name when I read a lesson. So how am I coming for you? I'm coming for the doctrine that existed before you and probably going to be around after you gone, bro. You know what I'm saying? So call up here and say that I represent a problem. How come Sal never told me that? You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of people who have put the New Testament down and give their life to the Most High because of what I do. All praise to the Most High. I don't take no credit for myself. I could die tonight. But if you want to say I represent the problem because I'm giving my views from the Tanak point of view, and I read the scriptures to back it up, you're the problem. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't gonna take up too much time. I just wanted to say that I ain't no problem to the community. Y'all the problem because y'all don't believe what the Tanak say. Y'all believe what y'all idols say. So shalom to Imuna, shalom to Mayana, shalom to Sal, and yeah, I'm coming harder for the New Testament. Shalom.
All right, so that's just some last words because I pretty much got to get up early in the morning.
Yep. So the last words is thank everybody who came out, let their voice be heard, who said what they needed to say, who gave words of encouragement, like I said before, things to consider, things to think about. May we all continue to grow and elevate. May we all continue to put our eyes towards the Creator and do that which is right in His eyesight. May we remember why we are here, scattered to the four corners of the earth, because we turned our back on our true and living power. Therefore, we should come towards Him with humility instead of hubris. We should come on our faces instead of standing in a way in which we feel as though we have arrived, so that He could remember us and heal our land and bring us back to the land that He promised on earth to our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So this is what, for me, this conversation has been about, always has been about, and may we continue to seek truth and shine light in dark places. Everybody have a blessed night, and I see you. You know what I'm saying? When I see you. Much love.
The last thing is I want to say that I love Sal. And it's not because of the Bay Talk for You or the brand or anything else. The people that I have met here, those are people that I have lasting relationships with, and nothing is going to change that. When it comes to the fact that we came here, it was because we wanted to be able to talk to the people, defend truth, stand on integrity in a respectful way, and for that to be something that could continuously be upheld. But if it ever comes to the point where that's not something that's possible, then no one that I know would be able to say in a space where they are not allowed to respectfully respond to something that the community has put out. And I have to say that includes me. So with that, I love Sal. I love all of you. I don't, just I wanted to be able to be clear on that.
So publicly, you're letting me know that you're not going to be on the program as well.
Are you asking me to make the decision right this second step?
No, this, I'm asking you. Are you going to publicly be or not?
At the moment, I said I'm
just asking.
I hear you. Because what I said,
I'm just asking you.
I'm calm. You're pushing. I'm calm.
Anything, I'm just asking a question. That's all I'm doing.
Okay, and you're also accusing me of not being calm. So I think that you seem a little more anxious than I am. So I want to be clear. Are you telling me this is a decision I have to make right this second? Is that what you want from me?
No, but I'm just asking you, are you going to,
right this second?
Because the way you sound, like you're saying we're pretty much, it's two different ways, pretty much.
You push it? Do you want to push it right now?
I'm not asking you a question. I can ask you a question, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm
asking you a question.
Yes, and my question to you is, are you asking me to answer it right? Okay, you know what? Then yes.
You don't have to. You can say.
No, I felt like I had to keep asking. I kept asking. You're like, answer my question. So, I'm sorry.
Question? Are you saying? I'm asking you a question. Are you saying that you're going to also be leaving? The show. That's all. That's your question. You can say no. You can say I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna wait till certain things go down. It's up to you. I'm asking you a question. That's all I did was ask you a question. That's all I did.
Sal,
So you said yes.
Yes. Yes. Now, yes. Thank you, Fab. Thank you for helping the decision.
Okay. I mean, all right. I didn't help you with anything. That's your decision. It's your decision.
If you say so.
I didn't force you to say yes.
People heard how that went down.
Yes.
I mean, we're live. We're on air.
I want
here because how you did that.
So the ladies, you're not even listening to me now. You're not even hearing me now. I want the ladies to have be on the brand. I never said I don't. But you're the one that hosts that program, right? So I just asked you.
Right. Okay, now that you say you want us
to decide now. You don't have to decide now. You can say I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna stand by, and if you have things, it's up to you. It's a choice.
Okay, so you said you wanted ladies on the brand.
Why does it have to be an argument because I'm asking you a question?
I'm not arguing with psychologist. You're being weird. This is very weird, Silas. You've never been like this.
It's not weird. I'm just asking. You've never been like this.
Being very it's making me very uncomfortable because you've never talked to any of us like this before. Saying now that you want ladies on the platform, but it sounds like you want us to be in our place and do things a certain way, and we're not allowed to engage the conversations the way we have been the moment it makes something uncomfortable for one of your male guests. And so I hear you when you say you want us here, but you're also saying you want us here the way you want us here. And that's problematic.
No, what I'm saying is, of course, as a producer of the program, if I feel like I can voice where I think we should go, I should be able to voice that out to you without it being a problem.
It wasn't a problem. I didn't say I had a problem, but you are being very strange on everybody. But it's fine, so I'm glad that I love you. I'm just going to end it with, okay.
All right. I appreciate you. Okay? So, there you have it, y'all. I'm going to leave, like I said, I'm going to leave all the links in the description box. Make sure y'all check them out. Like I said, it's all love at the end of the day, right? I'm going to, I appreciate the work that they've done. Like I said, I don't want where the ladies are not represented on this brand. I'm a strong advocate for that. But everybody has to see it that way. You know what I'm saying? I can keep saying it over and over and over again. But if way, then what can I do? All right, so tune in tomorrow, y'all. Make sure y'all check out the Big Talk for You. We have another show, but Josh will be here. He'll be back. Make sure you check out the show. Take care and God bless.
Wow, that was for those who are on the YouTube. I want to thank you for sticking with us, listening to the discussion. It took a little left turn, as Sister Esther is saying. You know, I don't know, y'all. You know, I'm over here like I don't know. That last piece right there was everything. But once again, I would just say, I'll reiterate, I don't know what just happened. Whatever just happened. You know what I'm saying? Whatever just happened. We really have to discuss that, because as Sister Miley stated, that was a bit weird for even me. That was a bit weird. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Like I said, all your kind words, all your encouragements, all your reproofs, all of that is, everyone is entitled to their thought processes. You invited us into your homes, in your hearts, and in your studies for years. We'll continue to do the work. We pray that if anything, you learn to do the work, do your diligent inquiry, do your investigation. If you are being confronted with doctrines that are not founded, don't necessarily go into an emotional space. Akweti, what's going on, brother Akweti? What's going on? You in the building? I don't know how much. Akweti, yeah, I don't know how much you saw or how much you didn't see, brother Akweti, but you're definitely going to be available on the replay. Again, conversation, we never shied away from open conversation. So if you feel in a kind of way and you didn't get to say what you wanted to say, we'll probably open up the platform again to have a discussion. I kind of want to see what's going to happen next as it relates to why I had to initially take this stand ultimately, which is a conversation that's going to occur tomorrow on Debate Talk for You, which is Brother Josh coming to either rebut or refute or contend. I'm not sure with the information that was brought forth. So I'm going to look forward to that to kind of listen in to see if, what happens with that. So yeah, Akweti, that's the face I'm making right about now, because that was interesting. But let us continue to be encouraged. This is a part of nationhood. It's a part of being respectful, disagreeing, it's a part of miscommunication. It's a part of a whole lot of things. I'm not sure if Sister Mina is still in the room. She may have stepped away. I'm going to go check and, subscribe to the channel and we'll be back. Subscribe to the channel and we'll definitely be back. Okay? So everyone have a blessed night and shalom, shalom. And, enjoy your shishi. Get ready for Shabbat and we'll see you on the next side.